interrupt all that and get to the work of the evening. And what I will do now then is call this business meeting of the Kalamazoo City Commission to order for Monday, October 20th, 2025. And the first order of business, roll call, Clerk Borling.
Commissioner Cooney.
Present.
Commissioner Decker.
Present.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Present.
Commissioner Pradel.
Present.
Commissioner Wilson. Present. Vice Mayor Hess.
Present.
Mayor Anderson.
Here. Thank you, Clerk Borling. I'm just going to interject a little something here before we do get to our opening ceremony, so just people are aware, just a couple things. The lights are a little dimmer in here tonight, some bulbs are out, and we need a lift to get to it, so I'm sorry. I apologize at a previous meeting. It just seems a little dark in here, and it's because it is. Some lights aren't on. Another thing, we're going to have to take an action on this, but I just want to let people know right at the front here before we get started is that although on your agenda, the item related to hiring a new city manager, which is obviously what is making this a particularly auspicious meeting, something that happens once every 10 or 12 years, which is under new business L. I'm going to ask the commission to support moving that up to right after public comments and before F, public hearings. So that will come up when we do the adoption of the formal agenda. I just want people to be aware of that. So thank you for all of you being here this evening. Back to our standard opening ceremony, we are blessed this evening to have Pastor Brett Laird from the Calvary Bible Church here to get us started. And I'm going to ask people to stand for the invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor.
Thank you, Mary Aronson. I'm going to ask everyone to bow your heads and pray. Lord God, we come before you this evening, and first of all, Lord, I just want to express gratitude for your mercy and grace towards me. Lord, I'm a sinner, and if it were not for your death on the cross and your resurrection, Lord, I would be lost in my sins. And so I just want to pause and give you thanks for your mercy and your kindness and your grace towards me. Lord, I also want to thank you for those gathered here. Lord, I pray that you would bless them. I pray that they would know your grace. Lord, each of them have burdens of heart. Each of them have trials in life. Lord, be near to the brokenhearted. Lord, be with those who are struggling. Lord, direct them according to your path and your ways. Lord, I want to thank you that in a world full of chaos, Lord, all authority, ultimate authority, resides with you. Lord Jesus, you have declared that all authority in heaven and on earth belongs to you. But Lord, in your goodness, you have seen fit to delegate a measure of that authority to government, a measure of that authority to the church and to the family. Lord, we thank you for these three key spheres of our lives. Lord, for our families, we pray for strong families, the building blocks of our community. Lord, I want to pray specifically for the issue of fatherlessness in our community. Lord, we pray that fathers would step up and love their children and love their wives. Lord, for the church, Lord, oftentimes we have taken our eye off the ball and not proclaimed the good news in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Lord, I pray that you would help us to fulfill our responsibility in that way with love, speaking the truth in love. And Lord, for our government, as we are gathered here, Lord, you have delegated a measure of authority to them. Lord, I pray that they would exercise that, Lord, in a way that honors you and is for the good and welfare of those that they lead. So, Lord, give them wisdom. Bless this meeting, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again, Pastor, for being here and getting us started on the right foot. I don't often do this, and maybe I'm missing it now. I was hitting the introduction of guests part of this, and I saw my mayor out in the hall, and I don't know if he's here in the room, but maybe he left. Okay. Well, he was here, he's gone, so I don't have to introduce him, I guess. Now we are down to one of the items which actually we could do a lot more of. We have to limit it because our agenda is only so long, but it is recognizing special events, special organizations, special people that do the great work here in the city for our community. And we have 4 proclamations this evening. And we have the 4 commissioners are going to be reading those proclamations. The first one is Imagine a Day Without Water. I'm going to bring the proclamations down, and I'll let the commissioners get started with that. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Imagine a Day Without Water, October 16th, 2025. Whereas, recognizing the National Day of Advocacy, Imagine a Day Without Water, being held on October 16th, 2025, which is an organized effort to educate the public about why water is an essential, invaluable resource, highlighting the critical importance of access to reliable, clean water and the need for water infrastructure investments necessary to maintain and rebuild these vital systems. And whereas, the infrastructure that brings the greater Kalamazoo area residents, on average, of 80 gallons of water per person per day, and then safely returns water to the environment, is essential to the quality of life, environment, and economic vitality of the city of Kalamazoo. And whereas, a day without water would be a public health and safety crisis due to the impacts which would limit the abilities of safety personnel, such as firefighters and hospital staff, to do their jobs, as well as businesses and homes to function. And whereas, water infrastructure is critical in protecting public health, and whereas America's water infrastructure is aging and failing, and there are communities that have never had access to infrastructure in the first place. And whereas, our water infrastructure is necessary to a thriving economy and public health protection, but is facing unprecedented challenges. And whereas, valuing and investing in water systems provides a path to economic recovery. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and David F. Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, do hereby recognize water is essential to the quality of life and economic competitiveness, and acknowledge the importance of educating the public about the value of water through the Imagine a Day Without Water campaign. Let it further be known that the City of Kalamazoo is dedicated to investing in safe and reliable water and wastewater infrastructure, and calls on our federal partners to bring much-needed funding and innovation to protect and restore our critical water infrastructure.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Department of Public Services, over 250 city employees that do this work every day, we'd like to thank this commission for all your support in water infrastructure and investment that we've been able to make for our community. So thank you very much.
Is there anyone present in the chambers this evening?
Is anybody here for National First Responders Day?
Chief.
Okay. Well, Chief?
Let's go.
You're first responder.
National First Responders Day, October 28, 2025. Whereas first responders, including public works services professionals, firefighters, police officers, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, paramedics, and other emergency personnel, stand on the front lines of our communities, selflessly serving and protecting the citizens of the City of Kalamazoo in times of crisis. And whereas first responders respond swiftly and courageously to emergencies, often putting their own lives at risk to ensure the safety and well-being of others, whether in natural disasters, accidents, medical emergencies, or public health and safety threats. And whereas it is in the public's interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Kalamazoo to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works services and other first responder efforts in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 7th annual National First Responders Day, sponsored by bipartisan resolutions in the U.S. Senate and House. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission, I, Stephanie Hoffman, on behalf of David Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, do hereby designate October 28th as National First Responders Day. I urge all citizens, residents, to join the representatives of Public Works, law enforcement, and other government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies paying tribute to our public works, first responders, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, and other emergency personnel to recognize the substantial contributions they made to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing the quality of life for all.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I proudly accept this on behalf of the real first responders, the men and women at public safety who work hard every day, along with our partners at Life and other paramedics and area law enforcement and firefighters that work hard every day to keep the community safe. Thank you very much for the recognition.
Keep the lights on after school. Whereas the citizens of Kalamazoo stand firmly committed to... Oh, we don't have anybody?
For this proclamation? Anyone?
Somebody from Kid Network. Okay. Okay, we're all set. All right. Whereas the citizens of Kalamazoo stand firmly committed to quality after-school programs and opportunities because they provide nurturing, high-quality, and engaging learning experiences that help youth develop social, emotional, physical, and academic skills, and support families by ensuring youth are engaged in supportive learning environments after the regular school day ends, and build stronger communities by involving youth, parents, and business leaders in the lives of young people, thereby ensuring all youth thrive. And whereas Kalamazoo Youth Development Network, KID Network, has provided significant leadership in improving outcomes for youth, grounded in the principle that quality after-school programs are key to helping our youth thrive. And whereas Lights On After School, the national celebration of after-school programs held this year on October the 23rd, promotes the importance of quality after-school programs in the lives of youth, families, and communities. And whereas many after-school programs in our community are facing funding shortfalls so severe that they are being forced to close their doors and turn off their lights, and whereas the City of Kalamazoo is committed to investing in the health and safety of all young people by providing expanded learning opportunities that will help to ensure all youth thrive. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission, David F. Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, I do hereby proclaim October 23rd as Lights On After School Day in the City of Kalamazoo, and encourage our community to engage in innovative after-school programs and activities that ensure the lights stay on and the doors stay open for all youth after school.
Good evening. My name is Genesis Griffin from the Kalamazoo Youth Development Network. I'm so thankful and appreciative of your presence and opportunity to accept this proclamation here this evening. So first, thank you for that. So again, Lights On After School is a nationwide initiative to keep the lights on after school for programs. If you don't know, CIS just had their funding cut in middle school programs. Things like this are very impactful to our youth because they create opportunities for leadership as well as keep our youth off the quote-unquote streets, if you want to look at it like that. So just really appreciate the intentionality behind everyone's participation, and if you'd like to be involved, Open Roads will be hosting a bike ride where they will visit multiple sites, but there will also be multiple after-school organizations in Kalamazoo County celebrating Lights On After School this Thursday. Thank you.
And finally, we have the Kalamazoo Ladies Library Association of Michigan Women's Hall of Fame induction. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
The Kalamazoo Ladies Library Association Michigan Women's Hall of Fame induction, October 22nd, 2025. Whereas the Kalamazoo Ladies Library Association is the oldest women's club in Michigan and the oldest women's organization with open membership in the United States, maintaining a continuous record of female leadership since its founding in 1852. And whereas the association provided the first subscription-based library to the public, serving the community for 2 decades before the establishment of the Kalamazoo Public Library. And whereas the association supported the creation of similar organizations across Michigan, expanding access to books and fostering educational and leadership opportunities at a time when college education and professional employment were largely inaccessible to women. And whereas in 1879, the Kalamazoo Ladies Library Association became the first women's organization in the United States to design, fund, and build its own clubhouse, an architecturally significant structure that remains in continuous use and is recognized by both the Michigan Register of Historic Places and the National Register of Historic Places. And whereas for more than 170 years, the association has empowered women through leadership, literacy, and cultural programming, from distributing hundreds of children's books annually to hosting community arts events, serving as a catalyst for Michigan's women's club movement and a vibrant force for advancing women and preserving history. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 55th City Commission and Mayor David F. Anderson, I do hereby honor and celebrate the enduring legacy and contributions of the Kalamazoo Ladies Library Association and congratulate you upon their induction into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame on October 22nd, 2025. Congratulations, women.
On behalf of the 170 members of the Ladies Library Association and the hundreds of women who have been part of this organization since 1852, we gratefully accept this award, and we look forward to continued collaboration with the city and with other cultural organizations in the greater community. We are Kalamazoo's oldest cultural organization. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Sharon Carlson. I'm the current president, and we're from 333 South Park Street. Come on, ladies. This is going to be a group effort here. A lot of women together can do a lot of things.
Thank you once again to everyone that came down to accept a proclamation this evening. And we are now moving down to C, the adoption of the formal agenda. This is the time I would like to suggest to commissioners, and Attorney Leal, I don't think we have to actually take an action on this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. That we just move the item that's under new business, which is selection of a city manager candidate, to, I guess, directly after communications. No, I'm sorry. Directly after public comments, E, and before public hearings, F. Is everybody okay with that in the commission here? Okay, super. Is everybody okay with that in the audience? No response. All right. Any other changes, commissioners? We have many items on the consent agenda. Commissioners, are there any items you'd like to move from the consent agenda, G, to the regular agenda? Seeing no changes there, then the modified agenda stands. Communications, Manager Ritzma.
Nothing to report this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Now is the opportunity for public comments. A standard at all our business meetings is that you will have 4 minutes to comment on any topic of your choice. And this evening, as a reminder, is an unusual evening in that we are actually working to make a decision on our next city manager. So anyone who would like to take advantage of the 4-minute time frame, please come forward, state your name and whether you live in the city.
Okay. Hello, I'm Kay. Number one, I just want to point out that there is including some of the other points in this, there's a little bit over $7 million being invested in 150 East Crosstown facility, and this is what we talk about when we actively speak about gentrification. That area needs, was it like $20 million plus for flood mitigation, emergency. I mean, it's a crisis there, but we're gonna renovate things first, and we're gonna invest over $7 million on further making the situation worse for the community. This is gentrification as we speak, right here. Y'all are about to approve this, 150 East Stockbridge. I just want y'all to be aware of how this actively works, because we see it as a kind of an idealistic thing, right? Because it's incrementally, right? People get pushed out slowly and slowly. So I just want to make that point. The second point I want to make is that, you know, with all the community conversations, and I appreciate some of you that have been vocal and have really asked the right questions. I know I don't really come up here and say thank you, but I hear y'all. The consensus is that I've heard is anybody but Lara Lamb. Anybody but Lara Lamb. And if Lara Lamb gets chosen today, y'all will prove that you never listen to community concerns, that you never really take the people who are dedicated to coming here. We're dedicated to this, and we're actually trying to get people to come and be involved in this process just so y'all can slap us in the face. Literally, if Lara Lamb wins, because she is lucky that I did not find my Google Drive of the most ignorant stuff that she has said. In 2021, when the notable eviction happened, she was involved in that. She was the face that softened that blow, because white women do that. Whenever, there's any issue, white women come in and soften that blow. So I just want to say, she has said a lot of things that go against community. She has been in ops. She does not want to listen to community concerns. She came in here she did not give one example of Kalamazoo. She's been here 12 years, and we heard an example from San Jose. She's had the potential in her hands and let it slip out, and has actually pissed off community by just, saying what ignorant stuff, upper class stuff. And the people who came and supported her are people who are middle and upper class. It's not the people who are experiencing the housing crisis. It's not people who are in caught between the ALIS statistics and the poverty wages. Those are people who are not experiencing who this system works for. That is why they don't have to show up every single time like we do, because the system works for them, because they vote in the people they want, and you'll go with it because those are the people who have money, who have influence, who have all that. But I just want you all to know, you guys are going to create a ruckus in the city if Laura Lam wins, because they're like, Malcolm is like, in his resume and in his speech, he was humble, and like, it was just an obvious choice for me, honestly. Al, she has work to do when it comes to anti-racism, okay? We need somebody who is blatantly anti-racist, right? Who better than black and brown people? We are living proof, you know? So Al, we really need somebody to change the course, because we need y'all to be loud about what's happening in this country. It is concerning how quiet Kalamazoo is. When they come knocking down our doors, when they come after activists, right, the extreme left, the radical left, like, you guys need to be ready. You guys need to be ready, because we're getting ready for this. We're organizing for this, and y'all need to know that shit is about to hit the fan if Laura Lam wins.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. My name is Maddie Jordan Woods. I did not intend on getting up and saying anything, but we all have our own opinions, and I beg to differ that the only people that would support Laura Lam is that people that are middle class. I'm not considered middle class, but I guess some people think I do, but the people who I advocate for clearly don't. I don't know who you all are going to vote for, but I can tell you that everybody has different opinions. She's always been willing to sit down with me. Do I think that you should hire her? I think you all need to sit down and hire who you think is going to be the best for this city. And yes, all of our votes and all of our opinions count, but I don't, you know what? I think that she has proven over the years that she works. Yes, but I will not lie. The candidate that I was looking for dropped out. So it is what it is. But I still thought that it was neck and neck between them. And all of us have our own opinions. But you all was elected by the people to do the best that you can and to choose who you think will do the best and work with the best people. So if the stuff hits the fan, it hits the fan. But you all was given that authority to pick who you think is going to do the best for this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Next, please.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Tina. I've been coming here for 8 years. For 8 years, I've asked you to fix the flooding in the south side of town. For 8 years. You are spending $7.3 billion since you ran Bright Eyes Brewery out of business with the construction and the flooding. They couldn't survive. And then you ran Smokes on Burdick out of business. Who's next, Top Dog? So now you're buying Smokes on Burdick. But you can't fix the flooding. But you can come up with $7.3 million to build a building that's going to be up higher than our homes, that is going to cost way more flooding in our neighborhood. How many years must I have come here at every city's commission meeting? You used to be able to call, but you took them away because you didn't really want to hear our opinions. You know, 8 years is a long time. If I lived in a better zip code, that would have been fixed a long time ago. It would have been addressed, we would have been addressed, we would have been talked to about it, but nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I've wasted 8 years trying to save my home from the flooding that you cause every time you build in my neighborhood. 2017, KVCC did us in. But you let them build anyway. Now you're still after the little green space, the last green space in my neighborhood, on Lake to Stockbridge to John. And if you take that down, you will flood us out, just like you did Bright Eyes, just like you did Smokes, and like you're gonna do Nagel's Top Dog. It's all about what you want. It should be more about what the people want. What the people want in Kalamazoo, it goes by the zip code. If you don't live in a nice zip code, you get nothing from any of you. You get no response, you get nothing fixed, your storm drains flood out the street, your sewers back up in the street, and yes, it does flood on Stockbridge too. right there by the railroad tracks. It floods, and I heard there was an accident because of the flooding. So, you know, it's time, guys. 8 years is too long. And I agree with Joanna. Lamb is right in the knit right with you guys. She's right in the hook with you. We need change. We need some new people. We need some people who will listen to the residents. No matter what zip code you live in, no matter how much money you got, no matter how much pull and power you got, we need someone that actually cares about everybody. You've got people froze to death last winter. And everything you want to build, when you want to build bad stuff, that's crime-ridden, you want to put them in the Edison neighborhood. Everything. Do something about the crime first. Do something about the flooding first, this time before you build. Now you're building on Crosstown. You're going to take that little land away where the bank was too and build on that? That'll probably be next. You're after DHS. All this is a floodplain. When are you going to wake up and see this? Everybody, get out and vote November 4th. We need a new mayor. We need some new commissioners. We need some people that will really listen to the residents. We need some people that listen to all of us, not just some of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
You say you want my name?
Yes, please.
Timothy Rice, and I live at Dillon Hall. I want to complain about the streets. I mean, who's in charge of putting them bike lanes up? They're a waste of time and a waste of money, and they're screwing the flow of traffic up. I've seen 2 people this year, count them, 2 people using them bike lanes. I mean, you're throwing good money after bad. Why not use that money to fix some of these streets that are falling apart? It's ridiculous. Can't even get around town anymore. Used to be you could go down Michigan Avenue at rush hour, get caught by maybe one light. Now you get caught by every light. And you got to wait for them bicycle traffic lights. Now, what are they for besides wasting money? What is going on with this town? Getting dumber all the time. I guess that's about all I got. Oh, one more thing. How come every year you got all summer to fix whatever needs fixing? You wait till October and November when you should be wrapping up to close down half the streets and do some repairs. I mean, what's wrong with the rest of the summer? Instead of trying to do them all at once. I mean, you people got a traffic problem, I tell you. Well, we all got a traffic problem because somebody's not using their head. Whoever's designing the streets, he's got to go get somebody new. 2-year-old could do a better job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. I'm Darren Timoney. I live within the city of Kalamazoo. I've lived here for nearly 40 years after moving to the community from the east side of the state. I think this next choice of city manager is really, really important to our community. And I hear the voices of people and their concerns. I did take the time to go to the community meeting and meet with each of the potential candidates. I asked them all the same question, and I listened very intently on what everyone said. I had other questions, and I stayed around and listened for about 15 minutes to each person and just listened to the responses. And I did have a top candidate, and he dropped out. And I also had a second candidate, and that was Laura Lamb. But I think that we have really good qualified candidates, and I respect the process. I respect the fact that you would give this thoughtful consideration and deliberation, and I appreciate that. And whatever you decide, I'm not going to turn my back. I'm going to stand here and support you as a city commission. We have a lot of work to do in this community, and I felt like this for a long time, and it's now time for all of us to pull together and figure it out. So let's, move forward with the process, and I'll respect what you decide.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers that wants to take advantage of the public comment opportunity?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and City staff. My name is Jacqueline Slaby, 908 Lee Barton Court, and tonight I am proud to announce my candidacy for Kalamazoo City Commission. For the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of serving under this body as neighborhood activator for the City of Kalamazoo, working alongside residents, businesses, and neighborhood leaders to strengthen the relationships that keep our city moving forward. Before that, I served as 6 years as elected trustee for Battle Creek Public Schools, helping lead the successful passage of a $44.8 million bond in 2021 that modernized our schools and restored public trust through collaboration and transparency. So I know firsthand what this commission balances every day: the urgency of action, the weight of process, and the responsibility to make decisions that serve both the present and the future. When I began my work as neighborhood activator and met with Stewart Historic Neighborhood Association, their plan had been stalled for nearly 5 years, and they had cut ties with the city after years of frustration. In just 2 months on the job, through consistent communication and partnership and a little bit of enthusiasm, we restarted that process and brought their plan across the finish line the following year. An example for how neighborhood planning should feel: respectful, responsive, and result-driven. Through that effort, the association recently hosted their first historic home tour in the last 13 years, one of the major projects outlined in their plan. Stewart demonstrates the power of the city's neighborhood planning model. Our ability to identify and deliver tangible street-level wins that residents want prioritized is exactly what restores the confidence in city government. After years of rebuilding trust and momentum, I am proud to see Stewart leaders here earlier today bringing forward achievable requests like speed limit signs, radar signs, and speed bumps that calm traffic and make their streets safer ahead of the two-way conversion. It doesn't get easier than that. These are cost-effective interventions that can make an immediate impact on neighborhood safety, and I encourage this commission to consider this request and work with the city manager and staff to make it happen. It was disheartening to learn that since my departure in May, the association has received little support from planning staff to sustain these efforts. Partnerships cannot depend on one person. They must be built into the culture of how to govern, and that is why I'm running for city commission, answering the calls of residents who have asked for my leadership. Because it should not matter whether Slaby is in the role or not. We need systems that deliver consistent, high-quality service to residents and businesses alike. That is what builds trust. That is what builds stability. And that is what we can achieve at the policy level through this commission and in collaboration with our new city manager. We can imagine a better Kalamazoo. Imagine Kalamazoo as the easiest place to move to, start up, and plug in by building a culture of safety, accountability, and innovation. But we know that plans ultimately do not do the work. The people do. I am proud to have the support of those who have served the community with integrity and in care, including City Commissioners Don Cooney, Kiana Decker, and Alonzo Wilson, County Commissioner John Taylor, Kalamazoo Township Supervisor David Combs, former State Rep Dave Matern, downtown business owner Ryan Reedy, Professor Peter Smith-Nopoulos, Teamsters Local 406, Michigan Building and Constructions Trades Council, South Central AFL-CIO Labor Council, IBEW Local 131, Greater Kalamazoo Association of Realtors, the Oath of Office, Vote Common Good, and LPAC, and also with financial support from Southwest Michigan First Political Action Committee. As I have returned to the campaign trail, knocking on over 1,000 doors over our 22 neighborhoods, I have been reminded of what people are truly asking for: reassurance and connection. Residents want to know that City Hall sees them, businesses want to know that City believes in them, and all of us want to feel we are a part of something that is growing together, not apart. You can learn more about my campaign at voteslaby.com. I have yard signs knocking on doors, and would love to have a conversation with you. I look forward to the possibility of serving many of you on the City Commission. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your continued support and service.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. I'm Jill Bland, and I'm with Southwest Michigan First. This evening, I'm here in support of Plaza Corp and their transformational brownfield projects to bring additional housing and hospitality opportunities to downtown Kalamazoo. Kalamazoo is one of 13 communities in the state selected for the Michigan Transformational Brownfield Plan, a rare and exciting opportunity for the city. Across 3 key sites, 619 Porter Street, the Spearflex Building, and the Michigan Avenue Courthouse, this plan represents $97 million in private investment, driving economic growth, environmental cleanup, historic preservation, and long-term community revitalization. In total, these 3 projects are projected to create over 550 construction jobs and more than 90 permanent positions, many within Kalamazoo's growing hospitality sector. It delivers 115 new residential units, bringing roughly 172 new residents to downtown Kalamazoo, directly advancing our housing goals and addressing the gap identified in the county housing needs assessment and helping us to meet the talent needs of our business community. Overall, these 3 projects strengthen our downtown core, attract new residents to the area and visitors, and brings long-term momentum for Kalamazoo's growth and vitality. We encourage the city to continue to support and partner with our development community on projects like these, knowing that they wouldn't happen without your partnership. Thank you for your time, and most of all, thank you for your leadership in moving these projects forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, next, please.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Adams, and I do reside in the city, and I'm also a member of Isaac. I really want to say thank you to all of you for your time and commitment that you've brought to this place in selecting our new city manager. I really do thank you for that. But I will say, after watching what our stakeholder criteria was and listening to your comments to questions when you were interviewing people, it became pretty clear to me that this commission is aware that there's an issue of trust. As some of you actually even stated, that under this current city manager and his team, that there's a long-held culture, often centering around distrust inside our city team and also definitely with the community. So when some of us got together to debrief the meet and greets, the interviews, and reviewing of the resumes, we noted that really we agree. All the candidates have what we call the technical aspects, and anything they don't have, like I said earlier, they can be taught. Those things can be learned. What we're really looking for is somebody who can build that part, that missing piece, that trust that needs to be in the city as well as us in the community. And to me, there was only one candidate that, in using your own words, that met that criteria, and that was Malcolm Hankins. I believe that Malcolm Hankins has the technical and expertise chops, as Commissioner Preo said, and the ability to motivate and help the community believe that we can punch above our weight. The person that we in the community, in our neighborhoods, could trust from the beginning, that Commissioner Cooney said, and as Mayor said, could use the doing of the work to bring us together. He stated several times at the meet and greet and his interview, he's a servant leader who is committed to problem solving and finding solutions and doesn't shy away from those tough conversations and engages well with the community, as we noticed at the meet and greet. And he also noticed several times that he goes out and finds those voices you may not always hear in the community and really brings them back what they're saying. In my opinion, the other 2 candidates are just not a good fit for us right now in Kalamazoo. I'm not saying that they're not competent, so I want to be clear about that, and it's not personal. I think Elle Cole lacks the experience. She comes from demographics of a population under 10,000 and is predominantly white, and that just doesn't compare to what we have here in Kalamazoo, a multicultural population of 70,000. She doesn't have enough experience or skills to address what we would need here in the city of Kalamazoo. And Laura Lamb, this is not personal. Despite being an internal candidate with a wealth of knowledge, she's a very bright young lady, is part of the current problematic culture. And many of us in this, you've heard different comments. We have mixed feelings about her connection with us in the community. She's bright. She knows the technical aspects, but I think she fails to see how she's part of the systemic issues in the city team. And her relationships and connections with her team, as I'm saying, in the community are mixed, especially when it comes to making decisions that are around collective work where equity needed to be centered. I was looking for in her interview, could she hold herself accountable? And she never gave an example of some failures about herself and her team that she's been a part of since she's been here for 16 years in her current position. This, in my opinion, was a missed opportunity for her to demonstrate accountability and that she could be trusted. And in my opinion, that will add to an uphill battle from the start if she's promoted to city manager. She just has some growth to do. And I don't believe that we have the time to wait for Laura Lamb to learn how to make the type of trustworthy connections that we're all looking for all levels in her new position when she's had plenty of time in her current position. In actuality, selecting Malcolm Hankins as our next city manager with the support of Laura Lamb in her current position, that's perfect. That's ideal. It's a great opportunity for this city commission to demonstrate not only that you're listening, but you're willing to take a risk to disrupt the current city culture and start to develop trustworthy connections. And I actually think Laura Lamb would benefit from this relationship with Malcolm, especially if she is looking to.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. My name is Caleb, and I work in the city for Isaac and the Campaign for Criminal Justice Transparency. I'm here to respectfully urge you to select Malcolm Hankins as our next city manager. First, I want to acknowledge all the remaining candidates. Elle Cole offered some promising ideas, and I want to thank her for going through this process. My concern, however, lies with the scale of this role. Saline is a 10th the size of Kalamazoo. We need a leader whose experience is proven at the level of complex disparities that Kalamazoo faces. Regarding Laura Lamb, your call for a nationwide search suggests a recognition that our city needs a new direction. Ms. Lamb has served our city since 2009, but that long tenure represents continuity at a time when public trust is low. In her own interview, she acknowledged survey data showing low confidence in government and eroded relationships. While she spoke of building deep relationships, many in the community feel a lack of visible, proactive engagement from current leadership. I can speak from personal experience and say that I have seen many of the commissioners and mayor show up to community events, and I have never seen Manager Ritzema or Laura Lamb. Additionally, in her interview, when providing examples of reaching out to community and being involved, most of her examples are from her time in San Jose rather than recent local efforts. Why aren't her primary examples of community engagement from her last 16 years of service here in Kalamazoo? More concerning was her statement on DEI, where she said she would primarily support the DEI director and do more listening than leading. Notably, she excluded herself from this work, framing it entirely as the DEI department's job, saying she doesn't take an active role in that leadership. We don't need a city manager who delegates leadership on equity. We need one who champions it from the very top. Choosing the status quo is unlikely to rebuild the trust that has been lost. This brings me to why Malcolm Hankins is the right choice for this moment. His 35-year career aligns perfectly with your stated priorities. You asked for a focus on equity. Mr. Hankins has demonstrated record of leading an equity framework and toolkit in Des Moines. You asked for community engagement. He has direct, hands-on experience. With nearly 3 decades in neighborhood revitalization, he has proven experience in creative problem solving and a commitment to public service as a visionary strategic leader. He can lead equity framework, presentations, and initiatives that directly address our community needs. Unlike an internal candidate tied to a period of declining public trust, Mr. Hankins offers the fresh external perspective you sought. He is the experienced leader who can begin the work of rebuilding the confidence and tackling our challenges and disparities with proven strategies. This decision is about more than filling a position, it's about setting the direction for our city. It's a choice between the continuity that has contributed to eroded trust and the new experienced leadership required to rebuild it collectively. Please choose the path of progress and renewed confidence. Choose Malcolm Hankins. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Justin Suarez. I'm from the north side of Kalamazoo. I wanted to bring it to the public's attention that the Drive and Shine car wash is at it again. They are looking to rezone that property over by Asylum Lake. There's going to be a public meeting on the 23rd, I believe that's Thursday, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Kalamazoo Public Library on the 3rd floor in the Van Dusen room. They're going to be leading a volunteer resistance coordination and awareness and informational meeting. And that's going to be focused on effective action on the re-subcommission of zoning change request for a car wash adjacent to the Asylum Lake Preserve. Then that will be brought in front of the Kalamazoo Planning Commission November 6th. So I just wanted the public to be aware that they've tried this in the past and failed. Hopefully they will fail again, because the public does not want a car wash anywhere near the Asylum Lake Preserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. Pastor Greg Jennings, pastor of Progressive Deliverance Ministry, and I forgot to say earlier, on this weekend I celebrated 38 years of ministry and pastoring in Kalamazoo. And I just want to share this because, as I stated earlier, let every man be persuaded by his own mind, but an opinion, but let it be a good one. And I'm here to speak about a leader who I had the personal of knowing and sat down with and talked in many different areas. Laura has spent over a decade of serving in this community. From community development manager to chief operating officer, she held many and every key role in the city government. She knows Kalamazoo inside and out, not just its policies, but its people. She helped launch the Foundation of Excellence, $70 million initiative that it imagines how we fund services and invest in our future. She's not afraid of bold ideas, and she knows how to make them happen. Laura leadership is grounded in equity and inclusion and collaboration. She's nationally recognized as a top local government influencer. She listens, she leads, she delivers. With Laura Lamb as city manager, we have a visionary who's proven, passionate, and deeply committed to Kalamazoo. Let's choose her experience, let's choose integrity, let's choose Laura Lamb.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, my name is Aaron Thiel, 158 Imperial Street. Thank you all for letting me speak. We're 2 weeks away from Election Day, and I'm here speaking as the campaign manager for the Drew Duncan for Kalamazoo City Commission campaign. Over the past 5 months, we've gone to neighborhood association meetings, church events, plenty of commission meetings like this, farmers markets, and the front doors of thousands of Kalamazoo residents to talk about our vision for a future city where everyone can be proud to call Kalamazoo home. We have a long list of endorsements, but I only have 3.5 minutes left. So you can find a full list on our website at DERW4KAKZOO.com. And I would just like to use my opportunity here tonight to let the current commission and all the city manager candidates know that regardless if Drew Duncan is elected to City Commission or if Chris Glasser is elected to mayor, our campaign will continue engaging and organizing with our community to build a Kalamazoo centered on affordability, justice, and empathy, no matter who is on the dais and no matter who is serving as city manager. With that said, I'd like to take one last moment to thank everyone who has already voted absentee and encourage everyone to vote for Drew Duncan for Kalamazoo City Commissioner. And remember that a vote for Drew is a vote for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chamber who'd like to take advantage of this public comment period?
Hello again. My name is Amy Klein. I live on Remine Street, right off of Burdick, near Elcott. I am here speaking as both a long-time resident as well as a city employee. Earlier during the Committee of the Whole meeting, I voiced my support for Laura Lamb as a candidate for our next city manager. I would like to take this moment to reiterate my support. In my position with the city, both previous and current positions, I have had the opportunity to support all levels of city staff: public services, management services, community planning and economic development, parks and rec, public safety, and the city manager's office. I've had a unique opportunity to see things from a backdoor perspective. I have watched as Laura has grown in her career, moving from one success to the next, truly moving up the ladder. I know that there are those who are concerned that hiring from within would only extend our current city manager's impact and that only someone brand new can move forward with positive change and growth, and I would challenge that. We have a candidate right here who has consistently and earnestly shown up for our community. In Laura Lamb, we have a strong candidate who has proven her dedication to the city of Kalamazoo over many years of service. She has built strong relationships among city staff and community members. I hope that you will carefully consider the strengths that Laura Lamb brings to the table. In my opinion, out of the final 3 candidates that were interviewed, Laura was the only one who was able to articulate the needs of a city like our own with details that only a local would know. She knows the streets and neighborhoods, the churches, and the schools here in Kalamazoo. Respectfully, the other candidates will have a steep learning curve. Kalamazoo is a beautiful and bright bubble with challenges that are unique to us. Laura Lamb, a strong and independent woman, has climbed the ladder to this point. I would urge you to consider voting for her to continue that climb with the city of Kalamazoo as her continued top priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, I'm Claire. I live in the Vine. I just wanted to share my support for the choice of Malcolm Hankins for the city manager. I think that his interviews and his resume stood out in stark contrast. So firstly, the direct experience with organizing, and especially organizing in houselessness programs, equity strategy, and cross-departmental leadership. That was something that I really thought was valuable, especially in the approach of kind of coming to terms with and mitigating conflict, or not mitigating, but resolving conflict within the government, and then especially the relationship with the community that does have to be prioritized. So his approach with that prioritization, coupled with his experience, I think is a better fit for our community. Overall, his resume highlighted that genuine community focus over a business and economic driven one. So that's important, but I think it has to come second to building the community and especially fostering that trust within the community. So I think he brings a critical and experienced perspective with work deeply rooted in community engagement at every level, including navigating differences of opinion. And I think that we have to actively seek out and go to voices that are not here, that are not at the table. And he expressed explicitly that he would do that. I think that he demonstrated a connective, humble, and introspective approach, reiterating the need to hear from people directly and not to stand quietly against inequity. His personal and professional work with homelessness and housing, combined with his methodology for genuine community engagement, to me, makes him a standout candidate for our community specifically. So he has the practical experience, he has the vision, he has the perspective that our community requires. And as an elected leader with a critical vote in this decision-making process, I would really urge you to consider all of those factors when making this decision. I do have to say that I agree that when we look at the lack of transparency and lack of accountability that happens a lot of the times between a city government and the community, the experience that Laura Lamb does bring to the table, I think could be looked at several ways, but in my opinion, it's, when we look at the statistics, when we look at what's happening in our city, I don't think that it's necessarily a point of value for this position. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi there, my name's Tori. I don't live in the city proper. I live just outside of the city. But as you guys, I'm sure, are familiar, are aware, that whatever happens in the city is going to spill over into all the surrounding areas too. I'm here to provide my perspective regarding the city manager search also. Laura Lamb has a lot of experience. She has leadership experience, and better yet, she has a lot of local and public experience, public service experience. I find this to be powerful, but maybe not in the way that you're thinking. I want to ask you, the mayor and the commissioners, and the constituents listening tonight, with all of Laura Lamb's extensive and impressive and relevant experience, what has she demonstrably contributed to our local concerns and needs? In her interviews, she could not and did not pull examples from her leadership in Kalamazoo. She continuously pulled from her experience in San Jose, so why not discuss local experiences for a local position? What does that tell you? Malcolm Hankins, in contrast, spoke immediately and directly to the issues of homelessness, and not in terms of punitive solutions. He has a lot of experience in a lot of different cities dealing with different contexts and causes of homelessness. A lot of people who are sitting here tonight and people who are listening at home do a lot of direct interactions and mutual aid with the local homeless communities. We can tell you from experience that in the past couple weeks, or couple months, but especially the past couple weeks, there's been a huge influx of first-time unhoused people who don't have basic needs. There are probably a lot of reasons for that, but I think there's reason to believe that that's going to be a continued and increased issue as time goes on, as socio-political stuff unfolds on all levels of government. All is to say, I would feel a lot more comfortable with a person who has experience dealing with homelessness in productive and service-minded ways, as opposed to somebody who has been in positions where she could make a difference, but we haven't seen those differences. I'm concerned that Lamb is an appealing choice for those constituents who have not examined why a well-spoken white woman seems to be a safer choice than a well-spoken black man with direct and extensive experience and plans addressing by far the most acute and growing issue in Kalamazoo. I am concerned that Lamb is a whitewashed choice and that she does not represent the interests or the needs of the city, and I would urge you to please consider deeply and choose Malcolm Hankins. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hey everyone, I already talked to most of you about my point of view, but just as a small business owner that has had to hire and fire over the past 15 years, I know how important this decision is and how hard this decision is. But I will tell you something that was really powerful that stuck out to me, and I actually heard Ms. Hoffman repeat it at the forum this weekend. I asked Malcolm what his vision for addressing the criminalization and the dehumanization of our unhoused population was, and he responded, part of the problem is words matter. Words matter. We call them citizens instead of residents. We can't address residents that don't have doors that we can knock at or phones that we can call. We can't just show up to their homes and ask them, how do we help? Because we are ignoring them. We are ignoring an entire population of our city. So that really stuck out to me. I sat through open-minded the interviews and the meet and greets and talked to all the candidates. I really liked Otis. I'm sorry he dropped out. But one of the things that stuck out to me with Laura's interview was she came into it so entitled. It really felt like, from an outsider's perspective, that she was talking down to you guys and us in the crowd. So I don't know that that's the kind of person that you really want in leadership. I think she needs some more guidance in that. That's my 2 cents on that. And I do also want to piggyback on Tina's comment. I live on Stockbridge. The flooding hits me every time it rains. I don't really come here to complain about it because I know there's nothing that I can do. But this time, there was a really bad accident because of the flooding. 4 kids, 4 Latino kids, were very badly hurt in front of my home, and the only reason they weren't harassed by the cops, because the car that like splashed them and pushed them into the puddle just kept going. The only reason they weren't harassed by the cops is because the entire neighborhood, 5 or 6 houses, came out and helped them in the pouring down rain. So that happens pretty regularly, actually, on Stockbridge and on the block over where Tina lives. So we really do need to sit down and figure out how to address the flooding and the storm drain backups, because that's part of it, but also the creek overflowing. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, please. Yes, next, please.
Good evening to our mayor, our vice mayor, commissioners, and city staff. My name is Charlene Davis with Isaac. I want to again say thank you for your engagement in this process, also to the committee members for your work. Please know that we honor and we feel the weight of this decision with you all as community members as we approach this monumental hire. Thank you to all the wonderful candidates as well. Commissioner Prado, thank you for directly responding to our concerns about low community trust in this process and feelings that this process was smoke and mirrors. We did pass that message on during a community debriefing session for those who were present so that they knew that their voice still mattered and they needed to lean in. We often talk about the beloved community that Dr. King speaks of, a place where community, hope, equity, abundance, and most of our love are infused into our policies and practices, and so that every person is held as beloved. I have been born and raised here in Kalamazoo. I love Kalamazoo, but to be honest, I have to sadly say that not all individuals are yet held as beloved in Kalamazoo. I have already emailed you all a detailed assessment of candidates, but my top and only choice is Mr. Malcolm Hankins, as I believe that he will help us collectively build the beloved community here in Kalamazoo, building relationships, including trust. He is a candidate who will build upon the positives of our city. He will bring new ideas, new energy, an equity model, an equity framework, and he will be the leader who can rebuild, as I already said, community trust and relationships toward the city. And this is coming at a time when trust is low in the community. Layla Saad says that if you cannot dismantle what you cannot see. You cannot challenge what you do not understand. And I feel that Malcolm is the person that can do this, the one and only. He has the executive city government expertise. He can bring something new and the piece that we are missing in the city for our current challenges and also the obstacles ahead. I could tell that Malcolm sees people beyond the stigma or the statistics and sees that all community members are beloved. It was powerful to hear him talk about going over to Bronson Park to talk to gentlemen, talking to valuable individuals who many look past and don't speak to, pretending as if they're not there. He has also an affordable housing background and an expertise. While we have seen progress locally, and we appreciate that, we have so much more to do. His new ideas and strategies will be centered in equity and inclusion for increased impact. He would be the city manager who would connect in a healthy, equitable, transparent communication and manner with commission, with city staff, and with community members. He would be a leader that would collectively examine a problem solve, and get to the solution. When I emailed you all, I also emailed you all a bit from the job description that you all posted and also some feedback from the community sessions. And in doing that, it was awesome to see that alignment in what you all are looking for and what the community is looking for. That was powerful. As we see the horrific federal attacks and injustices, Malcolm will not lead in fear, as none of us should, and I feel wholeheartedly that Malcolm can get us to that next level. We are a community in pain. Many of us have been harmed, but we are striving and on a journey towards the beloved community, so that all are held as beloved in Kalamazoo, the city of Kalamazoo.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. First, I want to thank you for hiring the Raftellus firm to conduct the city manager's search. It appeared to be a step toward equity and transparency. However, many in the community felt that this process may have been a performative action, a way to give the appearance of fairness while already having a predetermined candidate in mind, Laura Lamb. Commissioner Prado, we appreciate your direct response to our concerns regarding the low level of community trust in this process, and for you using the meet and greet solely for observation. We noticed that. Commissioner Hoffman, thank you for always speaking the truth, lifting up the voices in our community that often go silenced or unheard. That said, I do want to acknowledge the public interviews and the meet and greet. These events gave us, the community, a valuable opportunity to connect with and form our own impressions of the candidates. I hope our feedback from these sessions will be taken seriously and genuinely reflected in your decision making. Now, if this decision is not already made, I urge you to truly listen deeply to the voices of this community. Kalamazoo has been among the first cities to adopt forward-thinking policies like the Fair Housing Ordinance, and that's commendable. But being first to adopt the policy is only the beginning. It must be backed by consistent, accountable action. Progress isn't about checking boxes or setting precedents. It's about doing the real work that changes lives. We can no longer be a city that looks the part without delivering on our promises. We need leadership that's not performative, but rooted in integrity, accountability, and transformative action. Regarding the candidates, L. Code appeared to lack the confidence and composure needed for the demands of this role. During the meet and greet, when personal questions were being asked, she appeared visibly uncomfortable and overwhelmed. She was relieved when the conversation was interrupted and she was pulled away. She thanked them rather than confidently handling direct community engagement. And while that doesn't make someone a bad person, it does raise concerns about her readiness for the changes, challenges, difficult moments, and hard conversations for this position. Laura Lamb, during the meet and greet, was asked if she would lean in and listen to all community voices. Her response was that she would be intentional on connecting with the community and allowing those voices to be inclusive, except for those here on Monday night. Now, when I asked her, why wouldn't she listen to us, especially given that many of us are boots on the ground, lifted up, unheard voices, or silenced voices, we're lifting those. She didn't respond. She moved on to the next person without any clarification. That silence, that dismissal, raised a broader issue we've experienced in this city. Voices of the community being ignored or silenced, especially when it's inconvenient. Given the existing distrust among community members, that only deepens our distrust and our concerns. During her interview, she also didn't take ownership of her role in past city initiatives. It was lifted that there were some successes she had, and there was some that was really jacked up. I'm gonna stop there, and he's gonna finish for me.
Thank you. Next, please.
How y'all doing? My name is Edward Griffin Jr. I'm a contractor through Isaac. Says troubling that someone in years of city leadership failed to articulate clear examples of their impact. It raises real concerns about transparency, accountability, and connection to people of this city. Now it goes on to Mr. Hankins, and it says he presented a deeply grounded, ethical, and experienced vision of leadership with over 35 years in public service, particularly in housing, neighborhood service, and community engagement. He not only demonstrated technical skills, but a moral compass as well. He stressed the need to first listen to those left out, build trust proactively, not reactively. That's leadership rooted in care and action. What stood out most was his initiative. Outside the formal tour, he engaged with community members on his own time, had conversations in the parks with everyday residents. That is a leader who wants to know the people he serves, a leader who sees value in every voice. He also spoke powerfully about the difference between equality and equity. His leadership record shows he understands how to put those values into action in ways that directly serve the community. In closing, I urge you to make the decision that best reflects Kalamazoo, not only in just words, but in actions. We don't need a figurehead. We need a city manager who leads with integrity, humility, transparency, honesty, and equity, discernment, creativity, courage, and commitment. Someone who is approachable and deeply connected to this community. That person is Malcolm Hankins. Now, although this was read, I'm gonna just say something off the top real quick. I think it's very important if you're working for the city to understand that if you're doing a job for something or somebody, to listen to what that somebody or something is saying. I don't expect to go in a doctor's office and say my head hurt and they tell me something about heart surgery. So like if somebody is actually trying to press the concerns and actually trying to hear what the community is trying to say, I say that's who we go with and who we listen to. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Shona. And so it kind of feels like y'all wasted our time with doing all these searches and having us come in and meet and greet. We already know who you was gonna pick, Laura Lamb, because she's the one that helped y'all cause harm to our activists in 2021. That should have been something where y'all should have stood up and be like, she shouldn't even been on none of those candidates at all because of the harm that was caused in 2020 and 2021 to many of our black and brown activists. And she was right out there with Anderson, with Ritzema, with many other people that sit upon this board and other boards. When some of our activists were brutally attacked by KDPS, some of them are still going through the trauma that had happened 4 years ago. So to us, that tells us that it is okay for the city to cause harm to activists that are out here really doing the work, boots on the ground, for y'all to have Laura Lamb up here as a candidate at all. Y'all aren't listening to us. Because if you were, she wouldn't even been in y'all mind. But we know, just like the pods and other things like that, y'all just did it to say y'all use y'all research or whatever to waste our time. Because if y'all was really listening to us, y'all would have some people on there that look more like people out here in the community and that hasn't caused harm to those in the community. She's been in the city doing work, but what does she have to show for it? Has she been out here making change? Look at our housing crisis. What has she done to help there? Those should be big red flags to say, no, she shouldn't even made the list. I know y'all not listening to us because we know who y'all chose. As soon as it came up, y'all just wanted to give us some candidates and say, hey, waste our time, do this, do that. We have real work to do out here, real work. There's many people out here on the streets. It's getting ready to be cold. And we come up here time and time again. And we shouldn't have to. Because y'all should give a damn about who's out there on the street. I'm just lucky enough that I can take space at my father's house so my son and my grandson don't have to be out in the street. Because if I didn't have that place to go, I would be out here on the street. But I would still be at this podium speaking for those that are out there on the street and that need the help. So Malcolm is the candidate that should be taking this position. We don't want to trade a white man for a white woman that don't do anything. This community is bigger than that. It's more powerful than that. But people look in, and you know what they see is that just the structures that are set up here, not what really goes on. Because out here on the streets, it's a mess. It's so many people out on the streets. It's so much gun violence. There's so many violence out here. Our children in the schools are struggling beyond belief. Like, there's not enough systems put in place to help our babies in these schools. But y'all out here spending all this money on things to make the city look better. If you want it to look better, make it feel better from the inside out.
Thank you. Next, please. Is there anyone else that would like to take advantage of the public comment period this evening?
Good evening. Since I spoke to you earlier, my name is still Tom Schuster, and I'm still a resident of the city of Kalamazoo. You have a job I do not envy, but it's a job you signed on when you decided to run. And it's a job that when several thousand fellow citizens voted for you and put you in these chairs, that you took to represent all of us in the community. So here we are, watching you make one and another of a long line of decisions. Usually those are balancing needs of two constituent groups, and you're trying to figure out a way to go through that. Sometimes you make that work, sometimes you fall to one side, sometimes you fall to the other. But this decision is a tough one. It impacts all the citizens of the city, but also those of the entire community, as Kalamazoo remains a leader of the entire area. Tonight I've seen constituent groups strongly voice their points of view, and I applaud them for their intense commitment to their beliefs. That actually is a strength of our democracy. But it's you seven who occupy a unique place tonight. You represent the other 73,283 citizens of this community. And I can only encourage you to look at all the citizen feedback that you made the effort to compile. Because there seems to be a vast body of knowledge there, and hope that guides you in your decision making. As I said, I don't envy you in your position, but I hope you use your judgment to make the best decision for all of us in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers who would like to take advantage of this public comment period this evening? All right, seeing no one, I'm closing the public comment period. I want to thank everybody that took the time, prepared, made the effort to take advantage of our public comment period. Because we have now changed our agenda, the next item on our agenda, which was under L, is now the next item on our agenda, which is selection of a city manager candidate. So, Commissioners, I would just like to set the table for this a little bit in a way that I can without, with some comments just, I guess, in no particular order, but just some thinking I have had in preparation for this. And so I've just got a few things I want to go through just before we get started, if that's okay. I have had the blessing of being here through multiple hirings here at the City of Kalamazoo. I'm sure that Commissioner Cooney has probably been involved in more than I have, but at least a half a dozen. And why were we involved in those hirings? It's because under our city charter, there are a handful of people who directly report to the City Commission and who it is our responsibility to hire. And that handful includes the city manager, city attorney, city clerk, internal auditor, and our assessor, just those 5 positions. Over the course of time, though, I've been involved in multiple hiring situations. I will talk about what some of those hiring situations have been like. I've been involved in a hiring process where an internal candidate was identified and hired without any outreach, without a process of looking for other candidates, without a process of going through having that individual maybe compete for this position with candidates from other places. I've been through that. I mean, that is a hiring process this commission could choose. You could just, it's within the commission's purview to say, it's our role to hire a person, and we decide that's the process we're going to follow. I've been in that hiring process. That was certainly a shorter and easier process, but there were also people who were unhappy with that process for reasons I think all of us will understand. I've also been through a hiring process where we went through this entire process, vetted and selected candidates for interviews, interviewed, I think, 5 candidates in that process, and determined at the end of that process that we did not want to offer the job to any one of those candidates and started all over again. That's another way this process can go. And that was a national search. That was candidates from all over. And I do remember that feeling at the end of that interview process where we really felt like we cannot settle, we're going to start over again and look for someone else. In those kinds of situations, obviously, it's best practice to look for a firm that does this work, a recruitment firm that has those connections, that has the experience of doing that work. And so when it came to this time again, we went through a process of requests for proposals from a whole variety of firms, selecting firms to interview, and then selecting Raftellus. In my opinion, Raftellus has done a great job, but it's all dependent on what the lay of the land is at any given moment. You may have people who apply for the job at one time, and they would not apply a year later, depending on what's going on in the country with their own jobs. You cannot predict exactly who you're going to get when you even do that national search. In this particular instance, for me, I feel like we're in a blessed position in that we are in a situation where we actually have some qualified and decent candidates that we get to select from. And that's a nice position to be in. And so here we are, having to make that decision. I know that from the outside, there have been statements made relative, well, this is all performative. You're only doing this for the community for it to look like there's an open hiring process and it's really all been predetermined. Well, I can tell you for an absolute fact from my personal experience here, that is not what this commission is doing. I have great respect and value in the work and the thoughtfulness and the effort and the consideration that is going into this open hiring process. And it is not a predetermined outcome. I could not tell you right now how this is going to go tonight. These commissioners have been very, very true to the idea of deliberations and open meetings and thoughtfully having discussions in public, in carefully doing the homework to decide. And I think that I cannot tell you how meaningful it is to me to get to work with this group that is taking this decision so seriously. And it's not an easy decision, and even this evening, or in our feedback, or in the letters that we've gotten, or the support that we've gotten, there's not a unanimity of opinion about who we should hire. There's been a variety of opinions come from a variety of sources that are very credible with long experience here in Kalamazoo. Having that diversity of opinion doesn't make our job any easier. It's really makes it more complicated. Another proposal that is contemplated is that the idea that you, commission, are not listening to community. I will suggest that commission is community. All these commissioners live in Kalamazoo, go to multiple events, interact with multiple people, walk the streets of this community, and have asked under this form of government to be in a position of being those community representatives, to make decisions not only every city commission meeting, and recognizing that many times decisions that commissioners make here are not decisions that are supported by every single person. And so you're in a situation sometimes where you might have friends or neighbors who disagree with the decision you have made and maybe even determine that they are going to end their friendship with you because of that, hopefully temporarily. That's the risk that people take that run for office, knowing full well that not every decision is going to be an easy decision. So thank you, commissioners, for volunteering to be part of that. One of the things that I feel positive about is that, to a certain extent, I don't think we can really go wrong. I think we're going to find ourselves in a position where we have choices to make. Every candidate is going to bring strengths, and let's face it, they're all human beings and some weaknesses. And we're going to have to work with that. Those of us that have a couple more years, and those of us who are running and will be new commissioners or returning members of this. So we're in a good position for our community to be able to make a choice like that. That all said, here we are. And we've gone through an extended process to get ready for this. I don't know if any representative from the smaller work group that's been deeply involved in this process, if you have anything that you would like to say, or otherwise I'll just open it up and we can just begin to have discussions about what we feel and where we want to go from here. In addition, just as a reminder here, Clerk Borling has prepared some ballots. So it is something we could take advantage of, a ballot if we want to rank individuals, if we want to, take that approach like we did when we were selecting candidates to interview. And I think similarly, perhaps even with our, I can't remember this actually, with the firm that we were going to choose to do this work. That I can't remember. But anyway, there is that process we can get to, but now is our chance for public conversation and with the community members that happen to sit up here that asked to be supported by the community to have the opportunity to make the hard decisions. Anyone like to get started here? Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll kick us off. First, I want to thank my fellow commissioners, our city staff, our RAF tellers, and most importantly, our community. Your engagement, your questions, and your persistence are why we are here tonight with 3 highly qualified candidates. And to the mayor's point, either of them could make a great city manager, in my opinion. You've pushed us to ensure this process is fair, transparent, and worthy of public trust, and I appreciate you for holding us to that standard. Over the course of this search, one truth has become undeniable. The greatest challenge facing the city of Kalamazoo is not financial, it's not operational or structural, it's a crisis of trust. Many in our community believe that this national search was only for show and that the outcome was already predetermined. Whether or not we agree with that perception, we cannot ignore it. Perception is reality when people feel unheard. We asked each finalist how they would rebuild trust, but before trust can be restored, we have to be honest about how it was lost. That happened when we stopped listening, when members of this community no longer felt seen, heard, or valued by their own city government. And as a black man in this country, I understand what it feels like to speak and not be heard. And I refuse to let our community feel like that from its leaders. We all say we want to listen to the community. My question is, when do we start? After the vote is taken, after another leader is appointed, without their belief that their voice mattered. Personally, I believe that waiting until then will only widen the gap between the government and our community, the people we serve. So tonight, I'm choosing to listen now. I'm choosing to act in alignment with the voices and concerns and hopes expressed by our residents. And for that reason, I'll be supporting Malcolm Hankins as our next city manager.
So one thing I'm going to ask tonight is this deliberation, and so I don't want boos or clapping. You know, this is a business meeting. I really, really appreciate those comments, but just for decorum of this serious work, I will ask for that if you will kindly cooperate. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Other comments at this point? Other thoughts? Yeah, Commissioner Cooney.
Thank you, Mayor. So I wrote down, so this was a tough one. This was a hard one. And I spent a lot of time and a lot of prayers working through this thing. So I wrote down my reasoning and my conclusions. So first of all, I'm so grateful that we have ended up with such excellent finalists. I'd like to say a few words about each of them. First of all, Ms. Elcole. She compared herself to the Detroit Tigers over the past 3 years. In 2023, the Tigers were so-so, but somebody saw something in them. And in 2024, they were right up at the top there. And in 2025, they came from 1 run and 15-inning game of winning the American League pennant. And I think what she was saying was pretty accurate about herself, that there's talent, and she's developing that talent. And I believe that another city will have the good fortune to hire her as an outstanding city manager. Second, I want to say something about Laura Lamb. Laura Lamb has done so much for this city. And the people of Kalamazoo should appreciate all the great work that she has done. She has used her considerable abilities to do extraordinary work here. Now I want to talk about Mr. Malcolm Hankins. President Franklin Roosevelt said one time that the measure of our success is not whether we do more for those who have in abundance, but whether we do enough for those who have too little. And I think that's where we are in the city right now. If we want to move this city forward, the voices and concerns of those who feel disenfranchised and unheard must be listened to. We need to move from distrust to partnership. Mr. Hankins' work in the neighborhoods, his efforts with the homeless, his deep commitment to those in need, his clear ability to listen and to care, his life experience, his ability to welcome all people. These are the gifts we need to move this city forward. He is my choice for the next city manager. At the same time, it is my strong hope that Laura Lamb will continue with the city. She has the gifts which the city deeply needs. I believe the team of Hankins and Lamb will move this city to its destined greatness and make this city the model for the rest of the nation.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooney. Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to say, and I hate doing this, but I concur with Commissioner Wilson and with Commissioner Cooney on this selection. We are in a pivotal time in our community where we need something fresh, We need a level of divinity, and we also need some fresh eyes. Mr. Hankins, he exhibited, and you could feel the empathy, you could feel the genuine heart for people. And that is not to say that no one else has that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there are things that can be taught, and there are things that are just innate. And that is where we are right now. We will destroy ourselves if we continue moving in the direction that we have been moving. It is not good. It is not good, and it hasn't been good for a long time. We have done tremendous things in this city with what we have. And now we can do even more. We can do even more, and so my vote will be for Mr. Hankins.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Vice Mayor Hess.
Thank you, Mayor. Like Don, I too spent a lot of time thinking in prayer. And although many of you will disagree, and many of you probably will say, you knew what I was going to say, I have to say this anyway. Jim Ritzema announced his retirement after 13 years of dedicated service as city manager, prompting the commencement of a thorough search and a process for his successor. The search was conducted with utmost seriousness and integrity, and I'm grateful to the Commissioners Pradel and Wilson, our search firm, Raftelis, and the many city staff who assisted us. Despite having a highly qualified internal candidate, the committee made a concerted effort to seek external applicants, aiming to identify the most qualified and experienced individual for the role. Contrary to speculation that the process was merely for show or that it favored an internal candidate, every step was taken to ensure fairness and transparency. All candidates were treated equally, guided by the expertise of Ms. Pamela Weidman from Raftelis. From an initial pool of 56 applicants, the selection was narrowed down to 10 and ultimately for the 4 finalists. And so here we are. Special appreciation goes to our finalists. Al Cole, and I think Commissioner Cooney, you presented that well. Al will do another city, it will work well with another city with her gifts and her talents. Otis Jones, Laura Lamb, and Malcolm Hankins, all of whom participated in interviews and demonstrated unique experiences, skills, and talents as they aspired to the city manager role. Gratitude is also extended to everyone who engaged in the process. The feedback received from some of the from the community is valued, and together, I believe that there is a shared commitment and a passion to help the city continue to grow and thrive. During his tenure, Jim achieved numerous victories for this city, many of which have gone unsaid. His accomplishments stemming from a collaborative leadership style. And some of those are as follows. I just want to say this out loud and make sure that people know what has been done under his tenure. He formed the Legacy Cost Task Force, which developed a long-term solution to manage the other post-employee benefits, or OPEB. In 2012, before he came in, it was 0% funded, and in 2023, the OPEB liability was up in assets, and the fund was at 102% funded, which is huge for the city of Kalamazoo and its retirees. Jim formed the Blue Ribbon Revenue Panel to address Michigan's broken municipal funding model. This led to the formation of the Foundation for Excellence, which was created as an alternative to a municipal income tax. He also helped co-found the Foundation for Excellence, which stabilizes our city's budget and reduces our overall property millage rate. Our bond rating increased from 2014 to 24, from A+ to AA-. He had the creation of the Kalamazoo County Consolidation Dispatch Authority, saving the city over $1 million per year. Under Jim's tenure, the city went from 674 positions to 718 in 2025. He transitioned Metro Transit from a city department to a county-wide authority.
He helped create the 311 call center, which Laura Lamb actually administrates. He created an emergency manager position. He created the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department in our 2020 budget, and we have codified that as a commission into our charter. He created a city health care clinic for the workers of the city of Kalamazoo. Created a public information officer in public safety and a communications manager in the CMO at the request of commission who needed more communication. His community accomplishments include adopting the community sustainability plan and putting funds into that. Successfully lobbying the EPA to allow for local control of the Allied Paper Superfund site. Creation of Imagine Kalamazoo 2025, and that is under the leadership and direction of his Chief Operating Officer and then Deputy City Manager Laura Lamb. He oversaw natural disasters. He has overseen 8 major economic development projects so far in his tenure in Kalamazoo, and many other infrastructure accomplishments. And that's just a partial list of the accomplishments that Jim has had, whatever you choose to say about his leadership. He leaves the city in a stronger position than when he began his service. One of his notable decisions was appointing Laura Lamb as Chief Operating Officer in 2022. Laura worked closely with Jim, acquiring comprehensive knowledge of city management, building relationships at all levels, and providing leadership locally, regionally, and statewide. She became an ICMA credentialed manager and earned multiple awards for municipal excellence, neighborhood revitalization, and creation of the IK 2025 plan. Laura stands out to me as the most qualified candidate who has applied for the city manager position. Her approach throughout the process has been marked by grace, and she is fully prepared to lead from day one. Concerns that Laura represents more of the same are unfounded, as diversity includes gender, and her leadership style is distinctly different from Jim's. The Michigan Municipal League's Women's Municipal Leadership Project, also known as the 1650 Project, highlights the disparity between women's representation in city management roles, being that 50% of the people are female and 16% of managers in the cities are female. 50% are female and 16% of managers are female. Laura graduated from that program in 2018 with a clear goal of leading in Kalamazoo. Laura's background as a collegiate athlete on the cross-country team at Kalamazoo College is noteworthy. Studies show that 94% of female C-suite leaders have participated in athletics, which fosters intense and competitive skills beneficial for leadership roles. Laura continues to contribute as a volunteer assistant coach on the cross-country team at Kalamazoo, earning respect from the head coach and both the men's and women's teams. Her connection to Kalamazoo runs deep. She returned to Michigan, her home, after gaining valuable municipal government experience in California, where she earned a master's of public administration and began her career in San Jose. Her experience in San Jose shaped her passion for neighborhood planning and municipal work, and she naturally referenced those accomplishments during her interview process. They were formative for her. Those years were formative and brought them back here to Kalamazoo. Laura is deeply invested in this community, having raised her children here, educating them in Kalamazoo Public Schools, and taken pride in their achievements as students and runners, growing the next generation to be better than the one before. Drawing from personal experience as a coach and professor at Kalamazoo College who has retired, I recognize the importance of selecting a leader who is both qualified and devoted to that community. This did not happen with the selection of my successor, and the team is now in their 5th coach in 6 years, a severe setback to all involved. Although personnel decisions are often difficult and perhaps now contentious, I trust that Laura is the right person to carry on the good work at the city manager's office. She is a visionary. She does have a vision for the city of Kalamazoo and will carry that out. Kalamazoo is a complex community where the city manager is responsible for overseeing critical functions such as water and sewer, streets, public safety, development, parks and recreation, and administration. The city is poised for significant progress with declining crime rates since 2020. We like to talk about how much crime we have here, but I will say that public safety has been empowered to do a great job in reducing levels of gun violence and assault and violent crime, and those numbers are transparent. Let's see. Crime rates. There is growing communication. Again, the city manager's office heard us, heard city commission about communication, established the public information officer in both public safety and in the city manager's office, and the 311 dial-in line. There is great employee stability here in the city. There is economic growth, increased housing investments. Just today, I attended Friendship Village's willingness to put up 73 units on their campus, right? So there's so much that going into housing. The collaborative efforts to address homelessness are within our reach, and they're happening with the collaboration. And Laura said this in her interview. She's a collaborator. And what it takes to solve the problems of this city is collaboration. She would collaborate with, she is, and the city manager's office is currently collaborating with the county and with the continuum of care to make sure that our most vulnerable residents, our unhoused, are going to be housed and are cared for and heard and listened to. Laura has been an integral part of all of the initiatives that have brought us to this point, this good point in the city, since 2009, and in my opinion, has earned the position through her experience, qualifications, commitment, and service. She has been at the forefront of collaborating with many entities in Kalamazoo to bring us RX kids, to make sure that those in poverty don't fall further into poverty by having a child. She has been a stalwart in this work. Early in my commission service, I asked Laura for advice because I struggled to connect civic service with my spiritual and religious life. She encouraged me to join the Northside Ministerial Alliance, which has been an amazing blessing in my life and given me greater purpose as I sit here in this seat. I'm thankful that she later joined the NMA too. Laura navigates Kalamazoo's complexities with grace and makes a positive impact with her ability to communicate and collaborate. That said, I support her candidacy and will be voting for her, a female to lead this city. We've had one female in the history of Kalamazoo City lead the city as city manager, and I ask that we have two. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. Commissioner Decker?
Thank you, Mayor. We are definitely tasked with a big decision here. This is going to affect the lives of everyone that lives within the city of Kalamazoo and also the outskirts within the city of Kalamazoo. It's a tough decision. We had many strong candidates. 4, yes, unfortunately, the one that I also, liked did have to withdraw his name. That is unfortunate, but we're still left with 3 great candidates. I think each candidate each brings their own expertise to the city, one that has been here at the city for many years, and one that would just be coming to get to know the city and to get to know the ins and outs of our community and the individuals that we work with and the progression that we have already started that I would like to see continue to grow. I do believe that Laura Lamb will lead the city. She will be a listener, continue to be a listener. I know there's been many events that I have been at that she's been there, and she has been the forefront. I believe that Mr. Hankins, he will definitely be able to bring economic development and be able to really embrace what he's doing here within the city of Kalamazoo if he is selected city, or if we decide to choose for this individual to be a city manager. This is a tough decision, and after reading all of the comments and reading all of the feedback that we've gotten from community and listening to everyone up here on this dais, I'm still getting texts, and just thoughts and information, up until 6:50 today, of who our community thinks should be our next city manager. This is a tough decision. I think that for me, I want to make sure that we are moving forward in a way that, as Commissioner Pareto, you have said it before, that the things that we are doing today make a difference within our city in years to come, not for us, but for our youth, and as they go forward in their lives. I believe both individuals can do that. I think both individuals can do that in their own separate ways. I think they will both lead in different ways, and we won't know what way they lead until you really give them a chance and show, for them to be able to show us what they're able to do. I believe that Laura Lamb will be the one that I choose for the next city manager of the city of Kalamazoo.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Commissioner Pareto?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everybody, as well. I've had quite a few people, as of all of you, reach out by text and calls and even trying to catch you at places that you've been the last week and whatnot. And I've been really candid with folks that I legitimately, until this very moment, had not made up my mind. I promise you. You can ask my wife. And the reason why is because, like all the individuals up here, I recognize the enormous gravity of this moment as a city. This moment that we have as a city to decide to be the great city that we know that we are and can continue to become. And so one of the things that I did to kind of help myself as I was kind of grappling with the decision of who to select tonight is I was noticing that part of the reason I was struggling was because, A, there were really 3 great people, but I did want to give Elle some positive things that I really garnered from her as well, but she is not in my top 2. I was incredibly impressed by Elle's audacity with personal hardships that she was facing last week and in the last week, and still persevered and decided to show up, be a part of the process. And even though, even at the meet and greet, people might not have known that she was dealing with personal things, she still showed up as best as she could. She's done things like lead an $85 million water utility growth. She's a CPA, a financial mastermind in that regard. And she also, something that really stuck with me is that she talked about housing being infrastructure. So I agree with my colleagues when I say that I think that any community would be tremendously blessed to have her leadership with them, and I truly, truly wish her the best. But I also believe that there are instances when there is the right person in this right moment when we need somebody for our community. And so what I did is I went through and I thought through, why am I struggling between Malcolm and Laura? And the reason why is because there are so many similarities when you look at both of them. So one, they are both not current city managers. They are rising stars. They are serving current leadership. That's one. They both chose the city of Kalamazoo. They're not applying 30 different other places. They're not finalists in 3 or 5 other communities. Laura is choosing Kalamazoo as her top choice in this place that she wants to apply. And Malcolm chose to apply here because of some ties and roots and seeing that there's some really exciting, cool things happening here. Both started their careers out in neighborhoods, you know, sort of neighborhood folks that are trying to activate their communities and bring people together. Laura did it in Chicago and San Jose, and Malcolm did it in Arizona and Colorado. Both have pretty similar management portfolios. Both actually started in similar departments like we have here. We call it CPED, so Community Planning Economic Development. Laura got her start with doing things like working on housing issues and code enforcement, and so did Malcolm. Both have taken efforts and have examples in their career where they focused on customer service improvements. So I think Laura's example is creating 311, because before you had people like Director Baker who had 40 voicemails on his voicemail by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and now we have the ability to try to connect people with things. And Malcolm gave an example of code enforcement where he tried to improve customer service. They both gave examples of values-based decision-making. Laura gave her example about how she used that in deciding how to spend ARPA dollars. And Malcolm talked about using that in an equity toolkit, which is pretty cool. I think both of them are servant leaders, and there's plenty of examples of that when you talk to people who are staff at both of the locations that they're from. Talk about people from their community. I think they're both great listeners and approachable. They're both people with great integrity. They're both people who commit to community service outside of their work. You know, Laura, on a week like this, is out coaching cross country, and Malcolm is pastoring and working on community issues. I think they're both also pretty unafraid to engage with those who may not always have a seat at the table. And both have a leadership growth mindset. When I was getting to this point where I was struggling to make a decision, I was just thinking, please, dear God, just give me a sign. Give me a sign. If it's a street sign that says Malcolm Avenue or Laura Lane, whatever, you know, that this is a decision to make because I was that tied. And there was a quote that I just stumbled upon from somebody, so I can't take the credit for this quote. But it was Denise Posey who posted a quote from a leadership book that she had recently read. And the quote said this. It said, "In the end, it is important to remember that we cannot become what we need to be by remaining what we are." When I look at Malcolm, I see an individual who was focused on the One Economy Initiative as a board member. Now, what's that? It's overcoming racial disparities by looking at things like income, wage gaps in that community. And he's been a director there. He actually has written a journal companion book called the Servant Leadership Journal to talk with people about how to be a stronger servant leader. He and his partner, Joy, created a website called communicatecare.org. What is that? Well, I'll tell you what that is. It's teaching people how to integrate better care and treating people like human beings in the structures and organizations, whether it be City Hall or whether it be a nonprofit organization. He has 30 years of neighborhood work and working in neighborhoods in Arizona, in Iowa, in Colorado. And I know from seeing how that neighborhood works here that is complex work. And it often involves budgeting and public safety and public services and diverse opinions and bringing and corralling people together. He has a couple quotes. He actually, you don't have to look far. He has a blog that he posted in 2021 where you can find out how he thinks and what his leadership philosophy is. So it's not hidden anywhere. It's in plain sight. He said quotes like, "The solution to homelessness has a very different feel when the focus is not on the issue of homelessness, but on the person experiencing homelessness." His portfolio in Des Moines involves development services, neighborhood services, homelessness, civil and human rights, public housing, and sustainability. These are all great issues of this time that are critically important to the future and how us rising to the level that we all know and want to become. This all involves municipal operations. He's been part of the budget review process and budget planning, and he's managed a $79 billion budget just in his own division with 4 direct reports and 136 employees. Now, when I go back to that quote, and when I think about what we need in this juncture, I know we would be blessed with either individual. I know it. But I think in this juncture of where we are at and what we need in this precise moment in our time and in our history, I don't think that it's right for us to remain who we are. I think it's right to challenge ourselves to become the next level. And I think in order for that to happen, I think my choice would be Malcolm.
Please, thank you. I want to pause just on that. Thank you, Commissioner Pradel. I would say, when it comes to doing your homework, it's hard to top Commissioner Pradel when it comes to those kind of things. And it's not a competition. I'm just glad I wasn't ever in a class with you back in college or something and had to compete against you on the curve. So here we are, community, and commissioners have expressed their really deep, deep thinking on this topic. And one thing I want to make an absolutely convincing case for is this. This group up here and everyone who's here in the chambers this evening cares deeply about this community, and more so, the people that live here. We may not and will not agree on every single action. Trust that. I doubt if there's anyone who's ever been in a relationship who agrees 100% of the time with their partner. But one thing I will ask is what I believe in Kalamazoo, is that the goodwill and trust and support that we have each other, for each other, carry through even in times when decisions are being made where there is a diversity of opinion on it. And that when we leave this room, every single individual here in the chambers and here is respected and supported for their deeply, deeply profound thinking and convictions and effort for this community. For myself, I have been around a while here, as has Commissioner Cooney, and I have come to this point feeling very, very supportive of Laura Lamb being our next city manager. I think a burden that happens for a local applicant is that they are a local applicant. It is a benefit and it is a burden. When you're someone who hasn't been around, then maybe the issues that you've been involved in the past are not recognized when you come to a new place. And Laura has the benefit of knowing this community and being here, but the burden of having been here and been a participant in actions that maybe in the past were not fully supported. That's the burden and the benefit. So it is obvious from our discussion here that no matter what choice I would make, and like I said, I am a supporter of Laura Lamb, then we're in a situation now where we are 4-3. In my opinion, one of my primary responsibilities here is to keep us moving together as a team. I spend a lot of time thinking about that, focusing on that, talking about it during the campaign season, when sometimes there's a misunderstanding that being a mayor here means that you get to make decisions absent 600 people, which is not the case. So here we are. And despite the support that I have for Laura Lamb, I think that it is critically important for the person to whom we make this offer to feel that they have not 4-3 support on a commission. I think it's critically important for that person to feel that the commission is welcoming them with open arms and going to be supportive and going to make sure that this work goes forward in a collaborative, supportive, positive way. To that end, commissioners, with the majority already expressed support for Malcolm Hankins, then I will choose to vote with that majority. And that's where I'm at. I don't know if at this point what we want to do as far as an actual voting process, but I do want to say one other thing, just for everyone to know here, is that the next step we will make is the step to make an offer. But that is not going to end the moment that offer is made. We are going to be asking Pamela Weidman, I believe, to immediately contact that person and make sure that in this moment they're still available and interested. And if we hear that, which will take some little time to determine, then we will need to make a motion, and that motion will be helpfully phrased by our attorney, but I just want to say that motion will basically be to offer this position to an individual, presumably Malcolm, and enter into negotiations. We did have some parameters that we had set when we posted this job, and there is a template for the city manager position that is already a base contract have been provided by Attorney Leal to the candidates. Isn't that accurate?
That is correct.
All right. So that base template is already there. That will be the motion, and that will be the beginning of that, but it won't be the end. A contract will have to be negotiated, which will include a variety of things, and then that will ultimately come back to the City Commission as well. Commissioners, for those who have been supporting Laura, including me, who now recognize what the situation is, how would you like to move forward at this point? Vice Mayor Hess.
Mayor, I believe that unanimity is probably the best way here, and I believe that Malcolm will be able to lead this city with grace, and I will vote for him.
Commissioner Decker.
I respect everyone's decision up here. It was definitely a hard decision, but I will stand with Laura.
Okay. At this point, Attorney Leal, do you think we need to use a ballot, make a vote? What would be the best way to move forward?
That would be what the commission decides. I mean, you could do the ballot, which would rank the candidates, and The other option would be to make a motion to offer the position to Malcolm Hankins and authorize negotiations with Mr. Hankins to bring back an agreement to be adopted by the commission.
Thank you, Attorney Leal. What is our timing on that in terms of just verifying the action and or can we go ahead and make that motion to enter negotiations now?
I'm sorry, as far as after a motion is made, to get the word or allow a recruiter to contact Malcolm to verify?
Yes. Yeah.
I would say 5 to 10 minutes. And it is possible to make the motion in second and then recess, well, actually take you'd have to do the motion and approve it and then contact the candidate afterwards.
Okay, Attorney Leal. Commissioner Prado?
If that's the case, I'd motion that we recommend Malcolm Hankins as the next city manager of the city of Kalamazoo and enter in negotiations.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Prado, supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Any other discussion? Vice Mayor Hess?
Attorney Leal, do we have to motion October 27 as a special meeting to be able to approve such the result of those negotiations? It will be sometime next week, but we do have a meeting. We will have to have a meeting before the election to be able to do that.
That is correct. Right now, we do not know how long negotiations would take. I think mine, when I was offered the position and negotiated with the team, I think we had 3 different meetings, so, and then trying to coordinate schedules. I think it would be, if the commission so allows, to allow the negotiating team, once they've got a contract to bring forward, to be able to work with the city manager and the city clerk to schedule a meeting with 18 hours notice to be able to bring that. I think that is the reason, or as you may recall, early on in the process, you advised the commission that last week, you hoped that if they could be available for one of those days for such a, for the contract to be brought before them to be adopted.
Okay, there's been a motion made and supported. Any other discussion, commissioners? Clerk Borland, please call the roll.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
No.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes, and we will be taking a 10-minute recess. Vice Mayor, would you be so kind to see, we've got 2 mission commissioners. I'm not looking for you, I'm looking for Commissioner Wilson. Oh, just Commissioner Wilson. There we go. Thank you. Hopefully running steps or something like that.
I was trying to escape.
Didn't work. All right. Well, hello, everybody. A much thinner crowd at this point. Nice to see those of you that are sticking around here. I would like to call this meeting back to order. Pamela Weidman has contacted Malcolm Hankin, and he has responded in the affirmative that he's interested and he's excited to move forward with the next step, which is contract negotiations. I would like to offer something else, and this is kind of based on that experience of going through this hiring process multiple times, is that we're still not quite done. Life happens, events could happen in Mr. Hankin's life, or we could have some difficulties in our negotiations, hopefully not. So relative to that, I would like to propose that we consider at this point the idea that if something does happen, if minds are changed between now and contract negotiation time, if we're not able to arrive on a contract, that we move to have a plan B relative to that. So that is what I'm proposing, the idea of that. Not suggesting, I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm just suggesting we do that. Absent that, we're kind of starting all over again. So I had a conversation with Attorney Leal about that, and I'm just proposing something for discussion. And that would be, in the event we are unable to successfully negotiate an agreement with Malcolm Hankins, I'm not making this motion, I'm just reading it, I move to authorize negotiations with Laura Lamb. So, thoughts, commissioners, on that kind of approach? Commissioner Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. I am totally 100% in support of that.
Okay, appreciate that. Any other thoughts, commissioners?
I, too, am supportive.
Commissioner Wilson, you were going to say something?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I agree wholeheartedly. You know, in the event that Malcolm can't or doesn't want to in the future, then yeah, for sure, offer it to Laura.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? All right, so how about Attorney Leal, you read this motion again, and then somebody can make that motion.
It's going to be a little awkward, but we'll go.
Well, that,
but I can do it. I need to put, okay.
Okay.
In the event that we are unable to successfully negotiate an agreement with Malcolm Hankins, can I have a motion to authorize negotiations with Laura Lamb?
That's the motion. Does anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Hess.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Wilson. Further discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Cooney?
Yes, I changed my mind. I don't agree with that. I think we should...
Mike, is your mic on?
Okay, sure. I think we should have a discussion if that occurs. Until that time, I don't think we should take an action on this.
Attorney Leal?
I just wanted to add, and I totally understand, and that would be the normal approach if we had time. Negotiations, as I said earlier, in my case, it was 3 separate meetings trying to coordinate schedules, also doing an extensive background check as well as a drug test. All that takes time. So if for some reason at the end of this week, early next week, we can't get to that, to have a meeting and then try to negotiate a new contract to bring back before the end of the week, I think you'll see that that time is very limited, and that's the only reason why I had suggested to have that Plan B so that we can move. But again, that's just a suggestion. It is the will and the decision of this body, and if that is the consensus of the body, then we would, if we cannot get negotiations or successfully negotiate a contract, we can come back to request to go to Plan B and hope that that would go quickly.
Commissioner Cooney?
Yeah, I understand the time limit, so I'm willing to go along with the other thing.
Commissioner Wilson?
I think I also understand Commissioner Cooney's concern, though, in the event that negotiations stall and we're unable to reach a deal. We don't want that kind of back pocket, already agreement to be in place to encourage maybe that deal not going through. I think that's why, correct me if I'm wrong, is it?
Right.
So pretty much putting this in place now might hinder or impact the negotiation.
Yeah, I'm for letting the negotiations play out and see where we end up.
Commissioner Bradel?
We need 18 hours to call a meeting. And I think we saw on Friday getting together we got together at 7 in the morning on a very short notice. So worst case scenario, if there are people who feel pretty strongly about this, I would just advise to call up a special session meeting on short notice if we're all open to that and able. And the other thing too is, like, let's say one person's on vacation or something, for the contract approval, it's still a majority. And we know how everybody feels, so.
Okay, so shall we just let that motion go then at this point? You okay with that? So Attorney Leal, what do we need to do to?
Withdraw the motion or just a motion to lay on the table, either one.
I'll withdraw the motion.
I can support the withdrawal.
Okay. So Commissioner Cooney, clear those early morning swim times. We may be meeting at 7 o'clock. Okay. All right, thank you so much. All right, now we are down to public hearings. F, Manager Ritzma.
F1 is a public hearing to approve a substantial amendment to the 2025 action plan to allocate CDBG and home funding.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma, and I see people coming forward. I presume there's a staff report on this.
Yes, our compliance specialist, Julie Johnston, will give you a brief presentation.
Thank you, Julie Johnston. Nice to have you here. And Commissioners, we do have a hard copy of this here on the dais as well. It will be up on the screen. Welcome.
Commissioners, thank you. I will be quick. Tonight we are before you for a public hearing for a substantial amendment to a previously approved action plan. This is a requirement of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Whenever we request a change to an action plan that is considered a substantial amendment, we hold a public hearing. So our goal tonight is to present the activities and organizations recommended for funding under this amendment for City Commission's consideration and hopefully ultimately approval. Substantial amendments allow us to allocate entitlement dollars and generated program income to specific activities that support our consolidated plan. The 2025 action plan was completed under a process that was slightly different than what the Commission is normally used to seeing. At the same time, we were developing the new 2025-2029 consolidated plan, so we didn't run our typical application process and have organizations submit, so that when we sent you our 2025 action plan, you would have activities and organizations to review and approve for funding. So we did that after the consolidated plan was approved. The annual action plan was approved with priorities for funding, but not the actual organizations to fund. So that's what we're here for this evening. This slide shows the priorities that were approved in the 2025 action plan, and all of the requested updates this evening as part of the substantial amendment fall within these priorities. At the end of every program year, we do a reconciliation of all of our funds. Program year ends on June 30th, so this happened after the 2025 action plan was approved. And we look at everything from our entitlement funds to program income, and then this reconciliation typically then falls into the next action plan cycle. So it would have typically fallen within the 2026 action plan cycle. But because we were coming before you to request funding of individual organizations, we were able to put all of the dollars that are available to us through entitlement funds and program income into this substantial amendment. To make the recommendations outlined to you this evening, we held a request for proposal process, which was conducted for single-family homeowner repair, tenant-based rental assistance, our housing development funds, which included our home dollars for our community development housing organizations, which is a requirement every year of HUD, and our neighborhood enhancement projects. And these are the recommendations presented this evening as part of this substantial amendment. Staff recommends the following partners, activities, and budgets for City Commission's approval. And as stated, all of these activities fit within the priorities of the 2025 action plan and the goals and outcomes that we established for ourselves in the 2025-2029 consolidated plan. So at this time, we are looking for any feedback from the commission, comments from the public, and ultimately, we're hoping for approval of this substantial amendment this evening.
Thank you, Julie. Questions, commissioners? Seeing none, now is the opportunity for everybody who's here in the chambers to comment on this particular item, and just this item during this comment period. If you would like to comment, please come forward, state your name. You will have 3 minutes, and tell us whether you live in the city.
Good evening, Mayor Anderson, Vice Mayor Hess, commissioners, and city staff. My name is Michelle Davis. I'm the Executive Director of Housing Resources. Since 1982, HRI has helped people with housing crisis. Last year alone, we helped 3,532 households by solving urgent needs, resolving disputes between tenants and landlords, and getting people into safe, affordable housing. As I stand here today, there are over 700 households on our community's coordinated entry list waiting for help. People are desperate. They are desperately seeking help. And some of them are dying in our streets. Tonight, I'm here to support the substantial amendment to the 2025 action plan for the allocation of the Community Development Block Grant and home funding that includes critical services such as tenant-based rent assistance, home repair, housing development, permanent supportive housing, and more. It's been many years since the city utilized these funds for rental assistance outside of COVID relief. All of us at HRI are deeply grateful to the city that it recognizes the immense value of rental assistance that helps house people, and that you're investing in another solution. Please go further, please go deeper, and provide abundant solutions. On behalf of HRI and the people who desperately need our help, I want to thank city staff and your city commissioners for working alongside us to work toward a vision that means that every heart has a home, and to ask that you approve the substantial amendment and funding recommendations, and that you go beyond and do more. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers who would like to comment on this item? Seeing no one, commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooney, supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Discussion, commissioners? I'd just like to say thank you for kind of having to go through this again. I appreciate your efforts, and frankly, I'm a little astounded we're here, considering the fact that HUD's been shut down for 2 weeks, but evidently we know enough to be able to bring this forward. So thank you for continuing to work, even though the department, through this funding, will hopefully arrive, is currently non-operational. Appreciate all your efforts. Thank you so much. And if you look at the work here, how does this work happen? Partnership with community. That's how the work gets done. So great list of partners here. Appreciate at least one showing up this evening to be supportive, but really appreciate that we have these partnerships in Kalamazoo. Clerk Borland, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradel.
I'll be abstaining from this F1 because of my employer.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on our agenda is a second public hearing. I would now like to open a public hearing to receive comments on a resolution approving an application for a commercial redevelopment exemption certificate at 227 West Michigan Avenue. Once again,
We got people to talk about this.
Yes.
Jamie McCarthy, our development manager, is going to give a brief presentation.
Welcome, Jamie McCarthy, and good to see you here, Logan from Fishback.
That's correct. So thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and City Manager Ritzma. We will be brief because I know you are familiar with this project overall. I just wanted to point out that we are talking about these two locations this evening, one at East Kalamazoo Avenue, the Spearflex project, and one at West Michigan Avenue, the MAC, or Michigan Avenue Courthouse. It is two separate public hearings that you'll be holding this evening, but I'm just going to go ahead and talk about both of these together because we've prepared one table here for you to look at. Tonight we're talking about some state tools that you have at your disposal. Last month you went ahead as commission and took action to create two tax abatement districts, and last month we received two separate applications for certificates for these tax abatements. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the information that we received in these certificates and talk about the request that's before you this evening and about the recommendation that's coming forward from city staff. For these two separate buildings here, you have the address locations that we just spoke about, and you can see the different type of tax abatements that each of these are requesting. I think we've talked about this in the past, but really the reason that we have the two separate abatements, they both have specific definitions on what type of properties fit within each of these types of tax abatements, and then it applies to or it requires a certain type of future use, whether you can fit into or a property can apply for or fit into the PA 210 or the PA 255. So a certain project may fit within or qualify for a commercial rehabilitation certificate, or it may not, or it may fit better with one or the other. You can see that these are properties that are adaptive reuse properties, so you can see how they're being rehabilitated or changed into new uses. You see the total investment there. So these are applications where the developer or the applicant has come forward and is requesting this tax relief, and then city staff is tasked with looking at all of the different investment criteria and looking at what we feel is going to be the frozen taxable value. So that's what this project is really looking for. They're looking for this value that will be frozen for a certain amount of time, and that's what this request is before you today, is determining that amount of time. So the frozen taxable value here is taxes that will still be assessed on these properties and taxes that the taxing jurisdictions will still receive over the length of the certificate, and it's just really a delay until all of the new taxes will start to appear on the tax rolls from all of the new investments that have happened in these projects. So you can see that corresponding taxable value that would be frozen, and we also do, working with our tax assessor and working with the project, try to give you an estimate of what amount of taxes may be given up in that period of time. So you kind of understand what the community is giving up, or what this project is benefiting to be able to make these projects a reality in this community. And then at the very bottom there, you can see that the length of the certificate that staff is recommending. So for Spears Flex, it'd be 10 years. For the MAC, it'd be 12 years. Again, we look at the, we get some financial justification for needing that kind of investment to get that project going. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have and anything you would like to know further before making the recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. McCarthy. I appreciate you being here. And just a reminder for anyone who might be watching, this is the first time we've had this presented to us. We've talked about this before in detail. Commissioners, questions for staff on this particular action? Seeing none, is there anyone here in the chambers that would like to comment on this item? It's item F2. If so, please come forward, state your name, whether you live in the city, and you'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I will now close the public hearing. The recommended action is a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Cooney.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Decker. Discussion? Discussion, commissioners? Seeing no one, Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is our final public hearing. I would now like to open a public hearing to receive comments on a resolution approving an application for a commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate at 261 East Kalamazoo Avenue. We just basically received the staff report on both of these items, so obviously we won't be asking the team to come forward. Again, any new questions, commissioners, for staff on this particular item, F3? See no one, now is the opportunity for anybody in the chambers to come forward who wants to comment on this item, item F3. Please state your name, whether you live in the city, and you'll have 3 minutes. See no one. Commissioners, well, first of all, there's no further comments, so I'm going to close the public hearing. The recommended action is a motion to adopt the resolution. Commissioners, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hoffman.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Wilson. Further discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Pradel.
I was just going to mention, I feel bad when somebody might be tuning in, just tonight, but not previously, but we've had quite a few presentations on this, so I feel pretty comfortable and confident with these actions.
Right. A very complicated and detailed endeavor all in, and we have had multiple presentations on this, and I appreciate you, highlighting that, Commissioner Pradel. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes. We are now down to G, our consent agenda. City Manager Ritzma, do we have any items on our consent agenda this evening?
Oh, do we?
All right.
Okay. The following 18 items are brought forward for approval. First, approval of a contract supplemental and change order, number 1, with Whiteman for design engineering of the Cork Street Westnedge Portage Safety Project in the amount of $66,400. Bringing the contract total to $147,310. Next is the approval of a contract with Onlon Corporation for Academy Street sidewalk improvement in the amount of $122,582.50. Next is the approval of a one-year contract extension with Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company for the purchase of actuarial services in the amount of $144,000. Next is the approval of a professional service agreement with Jones and Henry Engineers, Ltd. for F Avenue and 28th Street transmission water main project construction. Engineering services in the amount of $189,500. Next is the approval of a sole source purchase with Michigan Security and Lock for access controls on the 150 East Parkway facility renovation project in the amount of $193,849.06. Next is the approval of a contract supplemental and change order with AVB Construction, LLC for construction management services for the Crosstown renovation project in the amount of $204,361. Next is the approval of a contract supplemental change order with Intersect Studio for the 150 East Crosstown Parkway facility renovation project in the amount of $376,592. Next is the approval of a sole source purchase with BS&A to upgrade to the cloud in the amount of $358,565. Next is the approval of a contract supplemental and change order with Corby Energy Services Incorporated for sanitary sewer rehabilitation of the Comstock Interceptor between King Highway and Kalamazoo River in the amount of $443,274. Next is the adoption of a resolution authorizing the city clerk to sign an intergovernmental agreement for early voting election services between Kalamazoo County and associated municipalities. Next is the adoption of a resolution approving a transformational brownfield plan for 261 East Kalamazoo Avenue, 227 West Michigan Avenue, 619 Porter, and 314 and 316 East North Street, and terminating the prior plan. Next is the adoption of a resolution approving an affordable housing agreement between the City of Kalamazoo, the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, 619 LLC, and 19 Props LLC. Next is the approval of the use of $12,000 from the City Commission Initiatives budget to support the annual Shop with a Senior program within the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety. Next is the approval of an updated endowment investment allocation. Next is the approval of the 2025 to 2028 Intergovernmental Fire Protection Hazardous Materials Incident Response Agreement. Next is the approval of an Economic Development Corporation Economic Initiative Fund loan to Main Street East LLC in the amount of $96,000. Next is the approval of an Economic Development Corporation Economic Initiative Fund loan to Kazoo Cream LLC in the amount of $20,000. And finally, acceptance of the Safe Routes to School grant of $407,549 to improve safety and connectivity for students at Winchell Elementary and Maple Street Magnet School.
Thank you, Manager Isma. Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 18 and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, supported by Commissioner Cooney. Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Items on the consent agenda are approved. Now we're on to our regular agenda. City Manager Ritzma.
Adoption of a resolution adopting the Kalamazoo West Gateway Plan. And we have our Deputy City Manager, Rebecca Kick, coming forward to give a brief presentation on this item.
Welcome, Rebecca Kick.
you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and I promise to be very quick. I have given you this entire plan in your packet. It's also on our website with all of our other plans. So I'm just going to briefly give you the executive summary. So the Kalamazoo West Gateway, first and foremost, is solving another 40-year planning problem, which is connecting intentionally to WMU, to K College, to the west side of town. We've heard for many, many years that it's very difficult for Western students to get downtown. It's very difficult to traverse the gaps in what we affectionately call the spaghetti bowl. And so making that more walkable and making sure that the development that can happen in this area is adding to the housing that we need. That's what this plan is about, and it liberally uses our pre-approved plans as well to do that infill housing. So there's 3 areas. There's the West Michigan Avenue connection to Western Michigan University and Kalamazoo College. There's the St. Augustine Cathedral block. It's a huge piece of property that the diocese in Kalamazoo owns, and we worked very closely with all of these stakeholders. St. Augustine's happened to be going through a master planning process as well when we were going through this and we were engaging them, and so they really brought us in to help them with that street-facing area. They have a lot of really great ideas about bringing the community into the campus of the diocese, how the school is run, and what community amenities they could put on the street. And then lastly, West Michigan Avenue, Stadium Drive, Academy area, again, kind of the spaghetti bowl. So here are our 3 distinct areas that go all the way down to where Oliver Street comes in. So a lot of this work was informed by the Protect grant, how Arcadia Creek is getting opened up in that area, the Kalamazoo College master planning process, and the Western Michigan University campus master planning process as well. I love to show these graphics, and you've probably seen the one that I've had from the center of downtown. But all of these red areas are developable parking lots and vacant land. These are the most poignant maps that we make when so many people say Kalamazoo's built out, we don't have any land, we don't know where we're going to build. We don't know how to connect. We have lots of opportunities to build and to connect. We don't need to wait for parcels to come together. We have them liberally. So what are the challenges and opportunities? So number 1, the West Michigan Avenue connection is the gateway to downtown. But right now, we can't see it because it looks like a dangerous raceway. But it truly is the way we need to connect. Secondly, Kalamazoo College and Western Michigan University are disconnected from the city. The way that we travel in between these places, there's no actual grid, there's no actual connectivity, and the intersections are undefined as well. So you don't see a point where you go, oh, there's the gateway, there's the connection. And so that's another thing that this plan tried to do, was really highlight where those intersections are. The new event center is a catalyst for this kind of growth. The growth that we're talking about has a lot to do with students, the student activities that are also around the event center. And students, if you've looked at anything that Grand Valley State University did in Grand Rapids, those students wanted to be where the action was. They wanted to be near Bridge Street and be near where really fun things were happening near the downtown. And so this is also looking at some of the assets that Western Michigan University has and some of the assets that Kalamazoo College has in this area, and how do we get students even closer to living in those areas as well. So West Michigan Avenue is completely unsafe as it is right now. The stakeholders also that are developing this area, we wanted to have a common vision. Right now, when we do development in downtown or in any of our neighborhoods, it's very much developers approaching us with their vision. This plan flips that and says, no, we have a vision. The city has a vision. We've done engagement. We know what we want for this area, and now we want to look for developers who want to develop our vision, as opposed to the other way around. So we want to be really proactive. And then the new development must be scaled to its context, and what that means is scaled to where we are. We're not looking to do huge 5, 10, 15-story buildings in this area. That would not be the scale of walkability. That would not be human scale. That would not fit the context of this. If you look at where, Rupert's was, Kalamazoo has that building now, where I got my prom dress at Solo's Bridal Shop. Those buildings are their neighborhood scale. You look at what's on South Street. And so that's why when we did the scale of these buildings, nothing is over 4 stories. So when you look at some of these drawings, again, pay attention to the scale that I have. We also really looked at East Michigan Avenue. So if you think about East Michigan, where Sarkozy's is, Bimbo's Pizza, that's the scale of these buildings that we're talking about. Back to the kind of the historic scale of the core of downtown. And we also, just as a positive boost, we're really good at fundraising. We're really good at getting money to bring our vision to fruition. And so this is just another reminder of we have raised a lot of money and we can do this work. We are good at implementing our plans when they're important to us. So the first urban design proposal that we have for our first area is along that Stadium Drive. What can we do to begin to bring that together? And so we've showed a proposal where the streets become consolidated, where the intersections become regular, and where pedestrian movements can be safer. The next area is we came into the intersection of West Michigan Avenue and reimagined how West Michigan Avenue could really be lined with buildings, because walkability is all about safety and feeling comfortable. And when you're walking along residential buildings, whether you're in Detroit or Chicago or Cleveland, it's all about that street frontage and feeling the vibrancy of what's going on. So what we did was we infilled where there were empty holes. And so where the t-shirt shop is on the corner, that's that building that you're seeing, like as you come down Stadium Drive or you come down West Michigan Avenue, and we filled it in with a 3-story building. So we said, let's put the t-shirt shop on the first floor of this building that's 3 stories. Let's fill it up with some residential. Let's see how we can grab that corner in and see it as you're going down the street. So we're giving, again, that gateway feel, how transformative it can be when you have buildings like on the, let's see, I'm trying to get it on the right-hand side, left-hand side. You can kind of see some awnings coming down. The ones, of course, on kind of that right side, which would be like new awnings on the Solo's shop, the one that Open Doors owns, and then the ones on the other side would be new buildings that K College would have dorms up above. And then if you recall, all of the car dealerships that have been along West Michigan Avenue, you've got the Orrin B. Hayes lot that's on the corner, and then there's, Bunka's, and there's like the pedal shops are there, but there's a bunch of missing teeth in between. And so what we did was we filled in the missing teeth into those buildings so that we could have a more complete block, but that block is massive. I mean, it's not a New York block, it's like 3 New York blocks. And so we broke it up into pedestrian walkways and an alley, because that's, again, a little more the language of Kalamazoo when you think about Bates Alley or Haymarket or, you know, the fun places that we have. Even along the North Mall, we have a lot of these different pedestrian places. So we also broke up the block in 3 different places, again, for the scale of walkability and for the ability to do events, have festivals, you know, bring some life into the space. If there were small cafes or things like that, really trying to imagine how we can also design public space into the developments. And for the block typologies and the building types, again, we really looked to our pre-approved plans to think about how could we do this development quickly. And this is, again, more kind of explanations of where we want to have mixed-use buildings, how they integrate with the church area, and also the backside of South Street, or, yeah, Academy Street. Academy Street right now is treated like an alley. So if you go to, you know, the car dealership or you go to Petal or something like that, those lots just bang come right into Academy Street. But across that street are residential homes. And so what we did was we said, okay, well, let's fill in the backside of that street again with homes. And so we chose row house types and single-family homes and duplexes kind of in a rhythm so that now 2 sides of the street are residential again. So you think about the walkability that that street could have, once again, when it's not treated like an alleyway. And again, these are just kind of the pretty renderings. This is an example of how that street frontage comes in. And I just really wanted to kind of highlight like how many buildings you could actually get there and how much more comfortable the walk is. So I'll just go through these quickly because these street design sections are just an example of how you can consolidate what is right now, you know, the spaghetti bowl into some regular blocks again. And so this is the whole master plan, kind of the full rendering of all the buildings. I encourage you to spend more time with the plan. Right now, what staff are doing is we're meeting with potential developers and the higher ed institutions who have incorporated many pieces of this into their own master plans. Again, we all worked together to make sure that this was a common vision. And that's why we want to meet with developers. We want to tell them what we want, how we are willing to be able to assist if you're willing to follow this plan. And then the next thing that we'll start to do and we'll bring back to you are the idea of what kind of land use tools do we need. The zoning is good here. We did the zoning work, but would we want to incentivize any kind of development in this area, and how would we incentivize it, and what would we want to incentivize are kind of the next questions that we would bring back to the commission. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you, Rebecca Kitt. Questions, commissioners? Commissioner Prado.
Thank you so much for your presentation on this. So one question for you. Do you have a sense in terms of like pacing timeline and like how long this would realistically take to see this like kind of incrementally come to fruition?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to say with any type of plan, which is why we kind of want to talk to people and say, what are your future plans? We know many of the people who own the land in this district right now, so we'll probably have a better idea soon, but I'm guessing a lot of folks are waiting to figure out what's going on with tariffs. A lot of people are waiting to figure out what's going on with the event center, you know, and the timings of the road construction also, which is around 28 and 29, they may not want to start their building projects until after all those new good water, sewer, everything is kind of put into place. So I'm guessing it might take us a few years to get this started.
Sure. Do you see the higher ed institutions, so like Western and K College's anchors, as potential helpful parties in helping to recruit developers as well with their different networks and connections as well?
Yeah, we're really hoping so, especially with them having these plans in their master plans as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cooney?
Do you have any indication from the institutions of higher education that they're going to that they want to put more dorms down there? Because Western just built a whole bunch of dorms. Now they're saying they want to build more. And
Kalamazoo College does.
Kalamazoo College.
College, yeah.
Okay, because Western.
Maybe not Western, yes. Western is looking more towards the student activities and things that are more related to the event center, but Kalamazoo College, with the Protect grant and how it kind of changes and creates a little more land use for them, that could help them build new dorms.
Other questions, Commission?
Good.
So I've got a few, Rebecca, just related to this. So appreciate this is just a boatload of work, and I appreciate all that and bringing this forward. Sorry, we have to talk about it at 10:15 at night, whatever time it is. I can't see that clock up there, but a few questions. I know you mentioned this, but their properties have changed hands along that corridor. Multiple properties have, bunkers shut down, so on, as far as that goes. Have there been, so we don't know what the intentions of purchasers might be, and relative to that, have we had conversations, about that? Well, why wouldn't, and what would be the process if someone said, hey, I'd really like to do a 6-story building, where the La Fontaine car lot is, and how does that detract or add? I mean, it's just kind of a general question. And then along those lines, as you move further east, you've got some really low-density uses in potential high-density places. The Cornerstone building, for example, which is 1 story and is really not in any way street-facing, is another location. So as you move that way, are there also, is that, and I may have missed it here, but is that same idea of 4-story cap all the way down to rows? Is that what's contemplated?
Yeah, so again, really thinking about, you've got the core of the city kind of up here and then stepping down from that. So we call it the fanciness of, kind of going from the node, from the core, and then stepping down. Because in this particular area, we're also trying to help the developers understand that we don't want to take away from the magnetic sort of center that the mall is and that the retailers have on Michigan Avenue and, along Burdick. And so we do need a lot of housing, though. And we do need the daily needs. So if you think about, the dry cleaner or something like more simple. You think of some of the smaller nodes that have smaller cafes or things like that. So we really designed this with more residential in mind on this West End because so much commercial has come into the center. And we actually have a lot of vacant commercial still left in the center. So I'm not quite, it's market forces. The market will ask us what we need to do. But in our plan and what we were seeing at that time, we felt more strongly about the scale.
So, for example, a 6-story is definitely a step down from the Exchange, no doubt. I just wonder how we choose 4 stories. And Exchange is residential. I mean, it's got commercial on some of the lower floors, but actually some of that commercial was just renovated into residential in that building, and a significant number of units. So, Have we had input from developers? I mean, what if a developer came and said, hey, where the Cornerstone building is or something, I'd like to do a 6-story residential building.
Sure.
They say, well, no, it doesn't meet the plan. Is there any flexibility around that, or how does that work?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a plan. It's not regulation or anything like that. It's not like you have to do this. It's not code. It's a plan that has a lot of good input and community engagement. But at the end of the day, I mean, going from 4 stories to 6 stories, could probably work with that. That's your pro forma. But again, I want to encourage us when we do community engagement around something, and that's what people are expecting, then that's what we put our incentives behind, then that's what we put our drive behind. If we just did plans and then every time somebody wanted to do something different, we just went, okay, never mind, we don't have to do anything in the plan. That's not listening as much. So I just want to be careful about how we put things into plans and then we follow through with them.
Right. So I respect that.
Yep.
Relative to that, we've required first floor commercial, for example, further down to the Stewart neighborhood. For that residential building, it has commercial on the first floor, which has been empty since the day they opened. And I sometimes wonder as I drive by that, we desperately need housing. There could have been housing on the first floor there, but we required them to have commercial on the first floor. And that's not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we did a similar thing over here on Rose, which I get, more downtown, in terms of some expectation relative to commercial for that 400 Rose, and they've been having a little trouble keeping that. I think maybe they're going to expand, I don't know, but keeping that one space full, that business went out. You talked about commercial struggling. How do we how do we overlay that idea of community input, and this would be nice if we had it, but the market doesn't drive it, all that sort of stuff?
So there's some added complications that happened with both of those buildings too, which had Michigan Economic Development Corporation dollars in them, and when they use those dollars, they are the ones who also require commercial development on those first floors. So it's not always our zoning or our regulations. It can be a lot about what financing someone uses, and then now they are required to put a certain amount of square footage of commercial in those buildings. So sometimes it's us, sometimes it's our zoning, but not always.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Anything?
Of course.
Commissioners? All right, so thank you again, Rebecca Kick, and all your work. Now is an opportunity to comment on this item. This is item H1, correct? Regular agenda H1. Is there anyone here in the chambers who would like to comment on this item? If so, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. State your name and whether you live in the city. Seeing no one, the recommended action, Commissioners, is a motion to adopt. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Cooney, supported by Vice Mayor Hess. Discussion, Commissioners?
Mayor.
Commissioner Prado.
I was just going to mention, the thing I keep trying to envision in my head is when you have 700,000-800,000 more people, roaming through the downtown on any given, year. And so a lot of these plans, I think sometimes when we're discussing them or looking at them, it's hard for us to envision that. But I think when you're thinking of the future that's to come, I mean, that's a lot of people and a lot of traffic, and so therefore will be a lot of needs that the downtown will need to provide. So it's really exciting to see this. Appreciate the team for work on this. Thank you, Rebecca, so much for your time on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Prado. And just another reminder about this is that it's not a plan for the city to build all these buildings or housing. This is just a land use kind of a plan, and it will be private parties, for profit or not for profit, that actually would work in this district and do the construction. Clerk Boiling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cooney?
Yes.
Commissioner Decker?
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Commissioner Pradle?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H2, City Manager Ritzma.
Approval of a purchase agreement for the purchase of 1216 South Burdick Street, 1222 South Burdick Street, 1228 South Burdick Street, and 121 West Crosstown Parkway.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma. Is there a staff report on this item?
Our Public Services Director, James Baker, is available for any questions. This is being brought back to you for approval, and this is to secure property around water station number 1 downtown to protect the well field in that area.
Thank you so much. So this isn't the first time we've seen this. Any questions, Commissioners, on this item? Is there anybody in the chambers that would like to comment on this item? It's item H2. Please come to the podium, state your name, whether you live in the city, and you have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Discussion, Commissioners. Seeing none, Clerk Borland, please call the roll.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H3, City Manager Ritzma.
Acceptance of a sub-recipient agreement with the Michigan Department of Transportation and authorization of the city to complete preliminary engineering activities as part of the PROTECT grant.
Thank you, Manager Ritzma, and I see the good Director of Public Services, Director Baker, is here. Take it away, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Commissioners. Just a brief comment on this project and this recommendation. Some background, this is part of that $38 million PROTECT grant. That's a construction project to make improvements in storm water and non-motorized transportation from Kalamazoo Avenue to Oliver. We're currently under construction on that project on Phase 0, which is from where the existing Arcadia Creek is in West Edge Avenue, and then moving north from there. This proposal that's in front of you here tonight is for $1.5 million in preliminary engineering, so just a small portion of that $38 million. This grant agreement that's proposed is actually a agreement with MDOT that builds on our existing relationships and collaboration used to currently deliver LAP projects, which are local agency projects. Those are our projects that we administer through CATS, those Transportation Improvement Plan dollars that you see us working on year after year after year. Some recent examples include West Edge and Cork Street and a number of streets that we've worked on in the past. There will be additional agreements that would come forward. Those additional agreements would be for some additional design engineering, construction engineering, and then the actual construction contracts, which may be broken out into several phases. So just want to give you some background there, and I'm here for any questions any commissioners may have.
Thank you, Director Baker. Questions, Commissioners? Seeing none, we're good to go. Now is the opportunity for anybody here in the chambers who would like to comment on this grant agreement acceptance. Please come forward, state your name, whether you live in the city. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no comments, the recommended action, Commissioners, is a motion to accept. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Pradel. Supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Discussion, Commissioners? Commissioner Pradel.
Mr. Mayor, I'm just going to say this is a huge deal, and even though this is the initial forward motion, I think it's really wonderful that we were able to work with the Michigan Department of Transportation to make this possible, and really appreciate the diligence and the hard work of our public services team and our team at the city manager's team to make this possible. So, thank you.
Good point. Thank you, Commissioner Pradel. Clerk Borland, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney.
Yes.
Commissioner Decker.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H14. I think this might be the longest list of items on one agenda that I have seen, so we might be setting a little record there. And I think, Manager Rissma, unlike the consent agenda, you're not intending to read A through Q. Is that correct?
Just every other one.
What?
Nothing. I was gonna, so I'm gonna ask a few people here to come forward, Chief Boyson and our Deputy City Planner and CPED Director, and I believe we have someone from Intersect architectural firm here, just to give a brief overview of this project and why there are so many items on the agenda tonight.
Thank you, Manager Rissma, and welcome.
Thank you. My name is Lindsay Reed. I'm an architect with Intersect Studio here in Kalamazoo. Thank you all for giving us some time here to talk about this project, which is the Crosstown Center Workplace Remodel. We've been working with CPED and the Department of Public Safety on this project for the better part of 2 years at this point. So I believe this will move us forward. Yes, okay. To provide a bit of context, and perhaps you guys are familiar with this project, hopefully you are, but so 150 East Crosstown was originally built as a Sears department store in 1950. Some of you may remember that. And it was purchased by the city in the 90s, at which point it was remodeled for dual use as the Department of Public Safety headquarters and the county courts. This building is about 100,000 square feet of space, like overall. And you know, when the Pratt Justice Center was built in 2023, that allowed the courts to vacate the space and provide a opportunity for the city to relocate some of their current departments from spaces that are currently being leased in the city or from other city buildings that are currently over capacity. So Intersect was engaged in this project in 2023, and that was when CPED had been designated as the primary tenant for this space. So our design process, essentially, when we started in 2023, we were engaged for a cost impact study and master plan for this space. We started with a series of workshops, surveys of some of the city department teams, research with the teams to identify how they work, how the space could serve them, and then also needs they saw for the community that could be answered by this space. This led to us creating a detailed master plan for the whole building. At that point, we also worked with a contractor to do a master plan budget. That budget, including deferred maintenance, soft costs, owner costs, and construction, came in at about $15 million. And that was including just kind of like all the possible needs that were identified for this building at that time. And then we basically worked closely with the project team from that point on to adjust scope, value engineer the project, to kind of bring it more in line with what the city was hoping to spend. And we were able to bring the total project budget down to what you have in front of you at this point, which is about $11 million in total, again, including soft costs, furniture, AV, tech, equipment, some other deferred maintenance and things like that. And that all came through public bid, which we've just completed. Just generally, the project goals and vision that came out of this project in working with CPED and with the Department of Public Safety was really a community-minded vision. Some of the goals you can see here was really to maximize this building as a resource for the community with consideration for current and future needs. We also wanted to create a workplace that really allows these teams to do their best work in supporting the public and serving their public roles. And then to create an active hub for the community. You know, previously this has been a courts space and it's still a police space, so I think it's often a building that some of us hope not to have to visit. So the idea is now to kind of create more of a hub space here with some of these new amenities. So Christina and Chief Poison will speak a little bit about the amenities in particular to their spaces and their teams, but I'll just do a quick overview of the floor plans here to show you just some of the spaces that have been, how it's been allocated within the building. So we have, this is the CPED side, the west side of the building. So we have basically large public lobby and some public meeting spaces. We have the CPED workspace, which is about 8 or 9 teams in and of itself. We have a new space for the IT department. And then also we brought over to the side of the building the fire safety and fire prevention teams, as well as the records teams and the records archives for public safety. On the second floor of the building on the west end, we have 2 courtrooms that we've now combined into, you can see in the orange here, like a big community room, a large meeting space, probably one of the bigger ones that we have available in the community at this point, as well as a gym facility for the city employees and for public safety, a public safety training space, and then we actually have allocated 2,500 square feet of additional space that we have that we're going to be bringing over. It was identified fairly recently that City Hall could bring some teams over. I think DEI and communications were identified currently, and there's still space to grow and add some more employees here. Then once we were able to kind of move some of these teams and things over from KDPS, that actually allowed us to open up some space on that side, which we identified as needing to help create a downtown police station, one facility, as well as some staff meeting rooms and other necessities, things that were needed in this building, nap rooms and a kitchen. Chief Poison will speak a little bit more about that. But one of the most fundamental adjustments to the design of this building that was driven by CPED and public safety in order to best serve the public was the creation of a single combined public entrance and lobby. Previously, the building was designated with each side of the building with its own entrance, own lobby, and there really was no connection between the groups. So really what we've created here, you can see, is a single architectural entry that identifies the building as a civic facility with a prominent and welcoming entry point, and then we've also developed inside there a public lobby space that's large and provides various public access to the various public amenities and services, and kind of clearly designates spaces and who you're talking to and things like that, and also then leads to the other amenities in the building. So that's where we are today. I will turn it over to Christina Anderson to speak a little bit more. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good evening. I will be quick, I promise. So if you have visited our offices on Rose Street, you know that we are on top of each other. We host board meetings such as the Downtown Development Authority, Economic Development Corporation, EDC, BRA in our space, and we have very little public parking available, and it's an overall challenge for us to be in that space. We're very excited to have the opportunity to be in the new space. We will have a lovely public interface with the public, places to come and find out. Planning is a very forward-facing planning, economic development, building trades are very forward-facing departments, and our space right now makes it difficult to interact with the public, to talk about the permits, to give them the time and space. And when people come in and want to understand why a permit was approved or not approved, or what they're missing, or even how to start a process. And so the lobby of this new building will really be mindful of that need. We had it a bit when we were in Stockbridge. CPED has moved around a lot in their history, so we're hoping that this will be the space that we can settle in. I think the biggest thing that we have in this space that I want to highlight for you tonight is that upper floor meeting room. That yellow space right there, that is 3 courtrooms that we are opening up. We can use it as one giant meeting space. We can divide it into 3 meeting spaces. It could seat 250 people. It can be with tables. It can be seated as seats like this. We can move our boards and commissions there. We're setting it up to have full technology, public media network, so meetings can be streamed. This type of space does not exist very readily in Kalamazoo. We struggle a lot as we try to think about where to host meetings. Obviously, we go out to the neighborhoods for any neighborhood meeting, but there are times when we're doing all city meetings and we don't have a space, and we are looking to, we then need to rent space and rent AV equipment and so forth. So this gives us, as a city, an opportunity for a very large meeting space, the largest meeting space that the city will have available to itself. And obviously, it can be used by all departments across the city. So we are very, very excited about the opportunity to have this space, and ultimately would like to open it up to the community to rent and use as a large meeting space for our partners. So I will turn it over to Chief Boyson.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. The last speaker on a long day, I know, so I'll be very brief. So talk about the public safety end. We've been in that space since 2003, so we've been in there for 22, almost 23 years, and it substantially has not changed in 23 years. So we're looking forward to refresh that space. This gives us an opportunity to combine that lobby, so we'll have a nice updated lobby that will be better to serve the public with. It'll be more secure for our staff. Right now, if you come in to get fingerprinted, we do a lot of background checks. People have to get fingerprinted. We have to bring them into a unsecured area to do that, and actually we have a place set up in the stairwell to take fingerprints, so now we'll have a dedicated space for that. We're going to have a dedicated Station 1 now. So if you remember, we used to be in the Transportation Center downtown. That was our last time we had a Station 1. We've been out of there for many, many years. And so that staff has been working kind of just mixed in with the rest of the operations division. And it's they don't have their own dedicated space. So now we'll have a created dedicated Station 1 for the staff. We're going to have I've got nap rooms on there. I got to tell you what that is. So a lot of times we have officers that work night shift. They get off night shift, but they might have court 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They need to get some rest. Or if there's a really late city commission meeting, maybe I'll be able to use that room myself. That'd be come in handy tomorrow if I had it. And so we'll have additional staff in meeting rooms. And the other thing we're excited about is on the combined side, the CPED side, we're going to have a great workout facility for all city staff. Officer wellness is very important. That's where the nap room comes in, the facilities for working out and keeping in shape. And then we're going to have virtual reality training rooms in there. So we do a lot of use of force training with virtual reality. We'll have a dedicated space for that as well. So we're really excited about the opportunity to upgrade our current facility and make it a little bit more useful. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Really appreciate it.
If you have any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Yeah, good. All right. So, Commission, questions about this project for the team here? Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm just, so I agree, the building is old. It does need to be updated, 23 years, Chief, it's been a long time. My question is, and I saw Director Baker kind of sneak out of here, so I don't know who's going to be able to answer this question. How often does that area flood?
I can speak to that. I believe we've only had one situation, and this was several years ago. We had a severe flood where we had to sandbag that area, and we had a little bit of water incursion in there. But since they've, and too bad Director Baker's in here, but they did a lot of infrastructure improvements with the flowage and the underground system across town. There were some areas that had been plugged, and they cleared that out. And since that's happened, they completed that, I think, last year or the year before. We've seen a lot of improvement in that. But it is in the floodplain. But again, since I've been here in 30 years, I think we had one incident where we had a serious issue with flooding in that facility.
Thank you. I think this question is going to be for Intersect. With the reconstruction of the building and the update and things like that, what measures have you guys put into place in your plans, or will be putting into your plans to make sure that a $7 million building doesn't, take on that much water? Like, are we raising it up? Are we going to be changing the plane? What are you guys thinking about putting into that?
The short answer is we're not raising the building up or anything like that, because we're trying to, we fundamentally need to use the structure that's there as it is. The building is brick for the most part. Like, so basically we are not, there's a few things with this site, like we've actually reduced the impervious, or excuse me, we've increased the impervious, or sorry, the pervious, yes, we've decreased the hardscape, increased the pervious of the site slightly. So we're not really adding any hardscape or hard surface, and we're not changing the footprint of the building. So essentially we're working within what's already there. And then really we haven't changed essentially the design of the building or anything like that. We have a few spots where we have full height windows, like at that entrance, and we've built up a curb underneath those windows to try to mitigate water infiltration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good question. Yeah, Commissioner Wilson.
Mayor, so in terms of project controls, I see that we're starting construction December 25, probably ramping up throughout the winter. I was just wondering on timeline as far as completion date that we're aiming for roughly. And then I'm assuming that most of that wintertime work is going to be interior stuff, right? Okay.
Correct. Yes. So short answer, next year for construction completion. Basically, it's going to be phased. So we will have the CPED side, the vacant side that was vacated by the courts first. And so yes, primarily all the interior work. And then there is a small amount of site work and things like that that will be done outside, including like repaving and things like that. That's all pretty much intended to be happening next spring, summer. And then once the new CPED side is complete, essentially that allows, again, some of that space to be cleared out on the KDPS side, and then that is literally the phase 2 of construction that happens after phase 1, after CPED side is basically up and running.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Other questions? Just a couple comments just for the team in general. First of all, I could be wrong, but there were some comments made tonight about building or spending money and gentrification, which I think is relative to this particular project. So just a reminder, I don't really see this as a gentrification move. This is a building already owned by the city. It's not a new building that's being constructed. It is remodeling inside an existing building that basically has been used by the public. So it's not like there's I'm not quite sure how the idea of gentrification would occur relative to this project. I don't see that. And that said, we are leasing space right now in a privately owned building downtown here on North Rose, which is not very customer accessible or friendly at all. And so I see that we're getting an ongoing lease that we're going to be able to get out of, in a building that we already own, which we're using more efficiently. All in all, quite a reasonable price tag, I would suggest, particularly relative to other construction projects by the public, which we've heard about lately that are going to have price tags many, many times this. So I appreciate the reuse effort. I appreciate the value engineering, if you want to call it that. It has to occur to try to get a price where we need it and still deliver a facility that's going to be good for many years to come and give access for community to take advantage of that space in there also. So I just want to say to the whole team, I know it's been a lot of work. Reusing existing space is a challenge. And so a lot of creativity is required there, and I appreciate the effort of the entire team and our design professionals. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes. Is there no more questions, I presume, at this point? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this item? It's item H4. Just give us your name, whether you live in the city. You'll have 3 minutes. Seeing no comments, commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve the 17 contracts under item H4. Is there a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Decker.
Support.
Supported by Vice Mayor Hess. Any further discussion, Commissioners? Commissioner Pradel.
I really appreciate the team that's been working on this. These projects are just so incredibly massive, and just the planning and the intentionality that's gone into it is really incredible. Chief of Staff Tibbetts, please send our thanks to him as well. Obviously, he's not here tonight, but he's becoming quite masterful at these types of projects, and Station 2 is a recent example of that work, but really appreciate the intentionality and just the community lens focus of making the facility more of an attractive asset that can be involved in and take part in.
Other discussion, Commissioners? Clerk Borling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradel?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney? Yes. Commissioner Decker? Yes. Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next, reports and legislation. City Manager Ritzma, do you have a report?
Just a reminder that tonight is our last official business meeting of this commission. We do come back on the 17th of November for a swearing-in ceremony. I'm going to reserve parting comments until that meeting, so I have no other report. Thank you.
Thank you. And a reminder along those lines is that there is certain possibility that do we tentatively have another meeting scheduled now for the actions we will need to take, and possibly we'll have to add a special meeting as well next week. Okay. All right, thank you so much, Manager Ritzma. I appreciate it. Next, are there any commissioner comments for this evening? All right. Vice Mayor Hess.
Really quickly, I want to honor and give a shout out to the city clerk's office and the work of everyone there as we work toward this election and early voting, which we voted on in item G10. Thank you for doing what you do for the greater good of democracy in the city of Kalamazoo. Really appreciate your efforts. And then another item, we approved Shop with a Senior from our City Commission funds, and thank you for that. LaTanya Turner usually heads that up along with Milestone Senior Services. Public Safety, thank you so much for doing that. That'll serve 55 seniors with $150 of grocery shopping each, a meal and gifts, and just a day of shopping at the holiday season, which is really wonderful for our seniors in the core neighborhoods. So I'm really excited about that. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Hess. Just two comments from me. One is for those of you who are early risers, there's a reminder that the Northside Minister Alliance breakfast is tomorrow morning at 7:30. Maybe we should just stay up. And no, I guess those all-nighters went away during college days. I'm not sure if I can handle that. And last thing I just want to say is that I can't tell you how honored I am to serve with each and every one of you. And I really, really appreciate the effort that everybody makes to work as a team, as colleagues, as we work our way through tough and important decisions. It is so meaningful to me. I'm thanking each and every one of you. Thank you so very much. I love you, Kalamazoo. We're adjourned.
Yeah. I want to just make